I went from the vacation brand to work. So that first Saturday of just chilling.
Yeah.
That first Saturday of chilling out is like all the vacation caught up and hit me at once.
Yeah.
Like,
that'll smack you real hard.
I needed this. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
It was real nice. I need to figure out what I want to talk about today.
Uh-oh.
I think about that a week away.
Yeah, I usually kind of have that plan, and like this was a week where it was just like, holy shit, the weather's really nice, so I'm probably not going to do a whole bunch of stuff like, outside or like inside.
The weather was really nice, huh?
Yeah, the weather was real good, so...
that makes such a difference.
The weather went really hot here, so I went back to, I'm only inside.
I had several coworkers who this weather was too hot weather. It was like in the 80s. And I was like, oh no, I'm enjoying this.
It's like
I'm outside.
It got to like 86 or so here today. So yeah, gotcha. I'm here for it though. I'm like, let's do it.
All right. Hi there, System of a Woos.
Someone said podcast. They did.
Yeah.
They said podcast. Very specifically.
That's us. Oh my God, the last one was a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is now, John. That's the schedule we're on, basically, is one a month. No.
This was an extra week.
Yeah, we got an extra week this time because John said that John said that the fans weren't good enough.
This definitely made me feel like 4 weeks is too much. 3 weeks is the sweet spot.
3 weeks is like just enough to where you haven't done it in enough time to where you start feeling, man, I kind of really want to do it. 2 weeks just feels like too soon now. Yeah. Like, I'm not here for it. Don't like it.
Yeah.
4 weeks is just like, oh man, did we just like, did we stop? Are we not doing it anymore? Is that what's happening?
No.
Yeah.
I love talking with y'all. Makes me happy.
It's okay sometimes.
Talking to John is a sometimes food.
Yeah, John time. Yeah, like I don't mind
a delicious
John time.
Cookie, like a delicious cookie ice cream sandwich.
I don't want it all the time. But yeah, like every once in a while, you crack that Klondike bar open. You get that rush of sugar. You get that rush of ice cream headache, and it's just like, all right, I've had my John Thayer. We're putting this back. I equate John Thayer and having to communicate with him akin to eating too much ice cream and getting a headache. John, are you flirting in my chat? Yes, you're flirting in my chat. That's what you're doing.
Just a little.
Now what you're doing?
Just a teensy bit.
Yeah.
Oh no, I feel a sneeze, but I felt it for like 20 seconds.
No, I hate those. Those are. Come on, let it go. Let it go.
Nope.
Do it. Don't mute, you pussy. Just do it. Let us hear it.
It's leaving.
No, come back.
It's gone.
I have a sneeze. If it's coming for more than like 5 seconds, then I blow my nose. I'm like, no, I'm not dealing with this.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and let it. I remember one time back when I was like 17 or 18, a friend of mine asked me what an orgasm felt like, and I was like, well, it feels like your crotch sneezing. I thought that was a pretty good explanation of the act. Now, I was just kind of like, wow, you're like 17 and don't know that.
Yeah, what the hell? That's way too. That's way too old for that question.
That's not poking fun or anything, but it's just like, wow, people really do kind of come into their own much later than you think. This person was also like probably notoriously small for his age, so I assume that maybe he just didn't, just didn't grow the way he was supposed to, or something. So I assume that there was something there. Maybe just going through puberty a little later than normal. Yeah.
Nod sagely.
Exactly. Sneeze nuts. There you go. I like that. That's a good one. How's it going, everybody? Welcome. It is a Sockscast episode 155. Can you believe it? We're back. It's been a long month, and we're sorry for having left you. It's all John's fault.
It's true.
It's always John's fault.
My mom got married. It was really nice.
If you ever need to blame somebody for a podcast not happening, probably John's fault. Who's the one that got COVID last year?
That was
wow.
Polly. Hey, Polly.
Yeah.
That was 2 years ago.
That was 2020.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Oh, no. It's happening again, and I keep saying that we'll never let this happen on a podcast again, but once again, I was reminded that time exists.
You did it to yourself.
Yep.
Man. Don't you hate it when the hero finally gets their comeuppance? That's like the worst. When the hero
are you the hero of the podcast?
When the hero, the protagonist, finally has to, get a bit of humble pie. Don't you hate it when that happens? That's the worst part of the anime, I think. And we've reached that arc. We've reached that arc now where this is the episode where I get a taste of my own medicine and it doesn't taste great. And now I've got to reflect on that. And I'm going to be holding that for the next 128 minutes. Exactly.
Well, Rhett can comfort you, and then you can go and rescue your actual wife using your time travel powers.
That sounds like a good thing that I should do.
We're all
after your humble
different
pie.
shonen references to make here.
I have literally no shonen references to make because I don't watch shonen anime. So
don't worry, Polly. The important thing when you face your own foibles is to recognize that you have done nothing wrong ever and you're actually perfect and great.
Yeah, they'll write me out of it sooner or later.
No, you're the protagonist.
I'm the protagonist.
You're the Kirito.
I'm the Kirito. I don't know whether I need to feel offended by that or not. I think I'm offended. I think I'm offended. You're
actually perfect.
I mean, in a way, that's a compliment, but also I'm Kirito. Kirito sucks.
He has 2 swords, Polly.
I know.
I was gonna say, and many wives.
And a lot of wives. Well, no, he has one wife.
That's true.
Literally only sleeps with one wife. Like, he has a bunch of people that want him, but he doesn't make that move. And if I'm Kirito, that means I probably wouldn't make that move either, because it just means it's that. I bet Asuna would be into it. I'm just saying. She had a girlfriend that she didn't sleep with, too, so. Or did she?
It's true.
So
he gets a boyfriend he doesn't sleep with.
Well, there you go. See, like there's seeds there for like an open relationship, I think.
Absolutely.
But the author too much of a pussy to make that happen, I think.
There's one bit where Shinon, where Asuna, they're all having dinner, and Asuna points out that, look, I have this app connected to Kirito's smartwatch. It lets me monitor his heart rate in real time. And Shinon says, oh, it's like an anti-cheating device. And then Asuna laughs.
Oh, God. Like she literally knows when they're fucking. Like, if it's like 11:30 at night and that heart rate monitor shoots up to 120, what do you think it's for?
I'm playing Ring Fit.
Playing Ring Fit, of course. I mean, what else would you possibly be doing at 11:30 p.m. It would make your heart rate go up other than Ring Fit?
Beepner asks, are we talking about Kirito or Rin Schwarzer? They're basically the same.
I mean, they're kind of the same. Like, as much as I hate to admit it, like, Rin Schwarzer, like, is basically one sword Kirito.
I kept making that joke, and I successfully wore you down.
Yeah, I just kind of like, you know what? It's kind of there. Like, I could even see Sean Chiplock voicing Kirito, so it's just kind of like, yeah, it kind of just all really does. Yeah, Rin Schwarzer really is like that guy, isn't he? Not saying that I dislike him as a character, but and I don't
That's just a painful thing to hear when I'm halfway through that saga.
I don't think that he's as hacks bullshit and they write him out and make it easy for it. Like Rin Schwarzer does not get it easy. He goes through some shit in those games. Kirito sounds like the world's just kind of handed to him on a platter most of the time.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, all right. But yeah, we're here for a podcast. You're here for a podcast. To my immediate virtual right, Dame yo, Dame nano yo. It's Rhett.
Hi.
Hey.
I had a moon pie this week.
Yes, you did. I was about to bring that up. Somebody lost their moon pie virginity. And you got to let them know how this happened.
It just, my mom bought something on Amazon, like a bracelet, and they just put in a moon pie and a card explaining the history of the moon pie.
That is
what?
It's so weird. Like, I read the note and it made no sense to me whatsoever.
It's like on public access when you donate, they give you a gift. So you're not buying something, you're getting a gift with your donation. This was like, the moon pie is a gift with your purchase.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just one small little moon pie, and I had half of it.
So, all right. So you busted the moon pie cherry. Where are we at? What'd you think?
Still dry.
It is a little dry. I will say, like, it is a drier cake. I can't say it's not.
Yeah.
If you put it in a microwave, for like 5 seconds, it gets a little bit of that humidity in there, and it moistens it up a little bit.
Should have asked you first before.
Yeah,
biting
you
in.
needed to come to me before you went into this whole process. Yeah.
You know, when it's your first time, you got to ask for some advice.
Yeah,
Did your mom want the moon pie, but you swooped in and stole it?
No, we split it.
Oh, that's nice.
That's sweet.
That's kind of also the funny part is that I had mentioned I have a friend that really loves these things called moon pies. So she probably would have just eaten it and not said anything had I not informed her of Polly in the past.
Oh, that's great.
So I come down and I see that thing sitting on the counter. I'm like, that's the one.
That's it. I've seen that boy online 100 times.
I was like so confused. And then I saw the note and was still so confused.
Mom, what the fuck's going on? Why is it? Did your mom even understand why there was a moon pie?
Not really. I mean, yeah, the note was very silly.
Look, I will say that, like,
it's the working man's dinner.
If more places like offered moon pie as an incentive to shop there, dude, I'd be broke.
I think because I only had half of one, I was, trying to take small bites and savor it a bit.
Savor it, yeah.
Because afterwards I was like, yeah, that was a little dry, but I'm like, also like,
that wasn't terrible.
Now, if I had like 5 of these, I could definitely fuck them up.
Oh yeah.
If I'm not like being, this is my one and only moon pie ever, I would just like bite, just fucking chomp them down in 3 seconds.
I'm gonna send you some double deckers.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna send you a whole box because I know that like you got a project going on and I don't want to interfere with that.
True,
but I'm gonna send you a couple. That way you can savor them more thoroughly.
Yeah.
Good.
I
saw moon pies at the store earlier this week.
And
I actually saw them. It was just like, because they're gluten-y. I was like,
they're gluten-y.
Oh no.
So it was like this week for the first time in probably like 5 years, I was seeing a moon pie in front of me and was like specifically like, I would love to eat that.
All right, I think wagon wheels are a gluten-free, what the fuck? Did I just have a stroke? Gluten-free alternative.
There we go.
I keep saying regular and strike. I just said it perfectly that time, but regular. Oh my God, why can't I just say it now? I was trying to say that word on a call with a customer.
Regular.
And I kept saying it regularly. It was having to say regularly. It said it's coming out fine right now. On the call, just a nightmare. Also, permanent. I can't say permanent.
Permanent.
On a call with a customer. Permanent.
Weird.
Easy.
Weird.
Permanent.
Permanent.
It's like it gets caught on my...
I can't say the thing that Beepner just put in chat right now. I can't say that one.
CD DVD drive?
I cannot say that. And I'm not going to sit here and there's a stream from back in December where somebody got me to try to say it and I spent 2 minutes trying to get it out and I couldn't.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know why I can't either. It makes no sense. I can say it very slowly, one letter at a time. But if I try to say it at normal speed, my mouth just fucking has a seizure.
Huh. Words are weird.
They are. To my immediate virtual left, on the weekends, they call him Pump Boy. John Thayer.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going, Pump Boy? It's the weekend.
Doing well. I like that.
Are you pumping?
I'm going to be... Wait, is Pump Man an actual Mega Man boss? I was
going
to say Pump Man is my Mega Man name.
Is there? I was going to say
no. There's definitely a Pump Man. It's in Mega Man 10.
Pump Man is in Mega Man 10.
The one I haven't played, okay.
Mega Man 10, not really worth it. Like, I think Mega Man 10's boring as poop.
There we go.
I really like 9.
9 is fantastic.
And then they were like, hey, and now we're going to emulate the other games.
And
the Mega Man 4 and 5s.
Yeah, I wish they would have just went ahead with Mega Man 11 being Mega Man 10. Because Mega Man 10 being another Mega Man 2 throwback didn't need to happen.
Yeah.
I liked when you're in the fortress and then the next part of the fortress is a space station, so the map just like traces way up and it keeps playing the shoot the noise as the map
And it
goes
keeps
way up into
going.
space.
Yeah, okay, that's
That's
cool.
pretty good.
That is
And
a good bit.
And I really like Solar Man's theme.
Okay. Oh yeah, Solar Man's theme is the best one in that game.
Yep, it's a banger.
Yeah.
I just had a moment of forgetting there was a Mega Man 11, and I played that one.
Oh man, like Mega Man 11 is actually good too.
I know it's good too. It's just funny. Where I was correct in saying Mega Man 10 is the one I haven't played.
Yeah.
And then right, there was an 11. Weird.
Yeah, there was an 11.
I've got an extremely good segue for this.
Okay.
Okay.
John, segue.
So I played Azure Striker Gunvolt nonstop for like two weeks.
It felt like 3.
It was,
You were going on that thing for a while.
It says May 2nd. There's no way it was only 2 weeks ago. It was a 2 whole weeks ago. Whatever. I was definitely playing it a bunch. That game's real good. I really like that game.
Oh yeah! What is Azure Striker Gunvolt?
So Azure Striker Gunvolt was originally a 3DS eShop release by Intercreates, creators of Mega Man 9 and Mega Man 10.
Yes.
And more importantly, Mega Man 0 and Mega Man ZX. I love classic Mega Man. I love Mega Man X. I really love the Mega Man Zero series a lot.
Yeah, they're good games.
They're real fucking
They
good.
are crunchy as fuck action games.
They feel so good, and I love them as a kid. I played them like with the elves and like scraping by with as many of the power-ups as I could and getting low ranks. And then I like revisited them as an adult and was like, oh, this is like Devil May Cry. This is like Devil May Cry Mega Man.
Yeah.
And then I got pretty good at them, and it was really, really fun. I haven't revisited ZX yet. I'm really excited to. And Azure Striker Gunvolt was kind of like, it was pretty, I think it was around the same time as, oh my God, to age us all, in episode 4 of the Sockscast, I talked about playing the original release of Azure Striker Gunvolt, says Tom.
That was
Really?
Funny.
That was
Wow.
2014.
So I don't remember that, but I remember it coming out and thinking, I should play that.
Yeah.
8 years ago.
Oh yeah. I played that game 8 years ago. I played the 3DS version. So that's the one that I played that had a bunch of text all over the screen when you were playing, and it was like, whose dumb decision was this?
And it's very funny because I played the Steam version that just does not have that. And as soon as I started tweeting about Gunvolt and posting screen caps, people were helpfully informing me that I was playing the bad version that didn't have all the extra junk text during the stages.
The extra text is literally described as like, watch out, that enemy's water. Like, that enemy's dangerous. Be careful. It's like, what? What are you missing?
Mega Man X5 bullshit.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. So I did not have that. I had a very I had a nicely minimally written, crunchy as hell action game that absolutely, all right, first off, it absolutely fulfilled the promise of the trailers, which was, this is like Mega Man crossed with Alicia Dragoon.
Yeah.
Or this is like Mega Man crossed with Dexter.
Yeah.
Where you have like these fucking homing laser beams, not lasers, lightning bolts, like arcing across the screen at all the enemies.
Yeah.
So instead of just shooting guys, you tag them with your gun. And once they're tagged, then you can fire your lightning bolt across the screen at them.
And when you tag, real good.
It feels real good when you tag 2 enemies and then and then kill them at about roughly the same time. You get a double bonus to your score. When you tag 3 enemies, you get a triple bonus, which is even more. Of course, and you can tag an enemy up to 3 times, and that'll deal damage to it faster. That's important because the enemies took so long to kill up front, and then I found out I could just shoot them, tag them up to
you tag them 3 times, you do triple damage.
Exactly. So like you would get to a point where you can build combos by shooting a weak enemy with 1 tag and a strong enemy with 3 tags, and that's enough to kill them at about the same time with the lightning, and then you get the double bonus. So you build the chain. So this is a game about building. I mean, up front, it's just a fun action game where you're zapping enemies. It's pretty easy just playing for survival. If you just play for survival, you'll get through it in probably 2 or 3 hours, I think. The last boss is pretty tough, but outside of that, there's not really a lot that's going to give you too much trouble. There's leveling up as well, but leveling only affects the skills you have access to and your HP. So it ultimately doesn't really matter. The skills are, they're a lot like the items in Devil May Cry, where you generally don't want to rely on them. Most of them are just like heal up or do a super powerful damaging attack that ends your combo.
Yeah.
So at high level play, you use the skill to end a combo like once or twice per stage, and then otherwise you don't use the attack skills at all.
Yeah.
So most of the RPG stuff it fades away very quickly. It's not something you actually have to worry about. It doesn't get in the way of the action part of
You
the
can
game.
depend on it if you're like not so adept at action games, and I feel that like that's largely what those systems are there for.
Yeah, it gives you more if you replay the game. If you want to replay the levels, you can level up a little bit, and then you'll have more HP for the bosses. So it's there for people who aren't intimately familiar with every Mega Man Zero game, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that's nice. I wanted to get across that it doesn't get in the way of the game for the kind of people who want to play the games kind of closely.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. I was kind of overwhelmed at first. I didn't really know what the game wanted from me or what all the systems were about. I played it for like an hour and a half, and then it just kind of clicked, and then I was having a blast.
Yeah, it's like, am I doing this right? Am I playing this game the way that it wants to be played? Yeah, there is that weird trepidation, like for maybe the first half hour or so, but then you kind of your tactics start working, and it's like, okay, I'm doing something right.
Yep. I remember early on I had that elevator in the first level, and it took like 15-20 seconds to get to the top where you're not doing anything, and I'm like, this seems bad. I don't know why they're doing this. But then you move up the elevator by zapping it, and then I realized that you zap it 3 times and then it moves up in like 3 seconds.
Goes up. Yeah, a couple of times.
Like, and the background races past you. It feels great. Like thuds at the top, very satisfying.
That's really cool.
So playing for survival, the game's pretty easy. Playing for combos, it's very rich because all the checkpoints are optional. Collecting a checkpoint ends your combo. You're ranked based on your best run in the stage between each checkpoint. So if you're like, what I ended up doing to get my S ranks was that I would use like most of the checkpoints, and then I would get between each checkpoint without getting hit, and then I would cash in the combo at each checkpoint. Some of the levels I would skip. If the checkpoint came really quick, I would skip over and get to the next one. So you're basically breaking up these like 8-minute levels into like 3 or 4 short chunks, and then you learn those just perfectly, and pulling it off feels really good. I really enjoyed learning the bosses to do them without damage, and then at the end you hit the boss with the attack. If you kill the boss with one of your attack skills, you get a big boost. So it feels really fucking good. So I had a ton of fun. I played through up to the normal end and was like, wait a minute, this is like really good, isn't it? This is like really good. And then I went back and I found all the Chaos Emeralds you need to find in each level to unlock the true end. And then I got all the S ranks. Just bit by bit, each one took me like an hour. There's, I think, 12 stages total. Is either 12 or it was 12 stages total. So I just, over the next like week and a half, I just did a stage a night, and it felt fantastic. I had a blast with it. And I got to learn all those really, really good bosses really closely. Because they're integrated. Go ahead.
I just had a moment. I thought the S ranks were what you needed for the true ending.
No. I did that for fun.
Oh my God. I thought that's what I had thought from your Twitter. I didn't know the whole collectible thing.
No, it's not.
I was like, wow, they really make you work for this, huh?
That's what that was like. I don't know if anybody played Dust Force.
Yeah, that was one.
That game literally like when it came out, you were required to get S ranks to get to the next level, and it was just like, this is kind of miserable.
This is a lot, huh? That game's also really strict, right?
It's not anymore.
You have to like just do it perfect.
They fixed it. Like it's a much more playable game now. But when it came out, like you literally could not advance unless you got full S ranks on the current stage, and it was just like, this is not fun.
That's kind of
okay.
nuts.
That's pretty good. I thought Gunvolt made you get the S ranks for the true ending, which seemed a bit much.
No, this is a 4 or 5 hour game to get the whole story, and that's perfectly satisfying.
Okay.
And then if you're like me and want to play it pretty closely, you can get. I played it for like 17 hours.
If you want to be
And
like
I
an
had-
actual gamer, not one of those
It's
baby gamers that just gets your normal ending and move on. Sure.
I'm laughing because you're like, the first half hour is kind of weird. And then it clicks, and I look, and I have 31 minutes on Steam. I'm just like, oh, yeah,
Yeah, just missed it.
just missed it. maybe in the 32nd minute, it would have.
Yeah,
finally
you were
clicked.
like you were like 45 seconds away from it finally clicking, but it's like, nah, we're
That's
done.
really funny. If you want to be a hardcore parkour gamer for life,
Yeah.
then you can get all the S ranks, and even then, there's the S plus ranks.
Plus ranks.
Oh no.
Oh no, yeah, I was like the casual hardcore Gunvolt player. I played
Jesus.
just enough to get all the S ranks.
Yeah.
The S plus. There are a bunch of clips. There are videos online of each stage beaten by the developers taking no damage the whole level and getting S ranks.
It's crazy.
Wait,
Yes,
getting S rank but not S plus?
S plus ranks.
S
Sorry.
plus.
Oh, okay.
No. I was the emphasis there was that the developers themselves recorded S plus.
Yeah,
no
they
damage
can do it.
playthroughs,
So
Okay.
it is possible.
which is
I think it
so
would've
fucking
been
dope.
impressive if they couldn't do it.
They made the games that they made the game that they wanted to play,
Yeah.
and I fucking love that. So I had a ball with that. I kind of regretted powering through so fast to the normal end. So then when I knew that I had a true end, I was like, I'm not going to see the true end until I've S ranked all the other stages.
Mm.
And then the true final boss is really dope. It's really cool.
One other question.
Go for it.
What triggers the vocal themes?
Oh God, it's so good.
Oh,
Okay, so
getting over 200, isn't it? A combo over 200 or 1,000?
when you get your combo over 1,000,
Okay, it's
it triggers
1,000.
the vocal theme.
Yeah, and that's not hard to do.
Okay.
It's not hard, but it's not so
It's not
common
maybe
and easy that
either,
it becomes.
You gotta
Yeah.
you've gotta be aware, you've gotta know your enemy patterns, and you've gotta be stacking those double and triple bonuses to get to effectively get there. But it's not like impossible to do it. It's
Okay.
it's not a huge ask.
Yeah, it's not impossible, and when you get it, it never became for me where it was like annoying and overpowering the soundtrack. Also, each stage has its own vocal theme,
Yeah,
which helps a lot.
It's
Yeah.
so nuts.
Yeah, so it's not.
That's
It
a-
doesn't become like Sonic 3 and Knuckles where you transform into Supersonic.
Oh God, that and it's just that for the rest of the game. That's all you're getting. Like nobody wants to like anytime like people speed run that game in a marathon or something. It's like cool. I'm not watching that for the next hour.
No.
Do-do-do-do-do-do. That's really funny.
Like if I see
No, so
somebody's
it's not
doing a
annoying.
Chaos Emeralds %, I'm out.
Go ahead, Rhett.
My mindset is like, I wouldn't go for S ranks, but I gotta go for them vocal themes.
Yeah, the vocal
Yes.
themes are really good.
The vocal themes are dope. The whole plot hinges around people fighting over a magic idol, ADOL, whose music has the power to control
Yeah.
basically like mutants in this world.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's pretty dope. And then the true end's really nice, and I left feeling very satisfied. When I finished the normal end, it ended like really really abruptly, and I was like, oh, that was kind of lame. But you know what? The game was so good that I still feel good until then, so I still feel good about it. And then I found out there was a true end. I was like, yes.
You have the achievement on Steam. Listen to all songs of the game. Only 3.7% of players have this achievement.
God, all the last bosses are so dope. I have one crit.
Mhm.
It's a common crit with latter day Mega Mans. There's like one actual fortress stage.
Yeah.
It's real. The true end stage reuses a level. It reuses a short level. And then like most of the climax is boss rush, and it's almost all bosses you've already fought.
Yeah. I'm always gonna find that the most boring part of any of these games is like great. Like I don't
Now,
like
go ahead.
who's playing these games for the fucking boss refights at the end, and you cannot convince me in any way that they're there for anything other than to pad the game out. Like, I just don't see what purpose they serve. Unless you're talking like Mega Man 1 or Mega Man X1, where they're like when you're going through the final Wily stages, they appear as part of a stage. I think that's cool. But if it's just like a boring ass capsule run, you just...
Well, that's it. That's the thing, Polly. It is like Mega Man 1 and Mega Man X1.
Yeah, it is, but it's just like... I still just kind of get with...
Yeah, no, I get you.
Revive.
Especially when one of the last levels is like 5 in a row out of like 7. But they mix the other 2 in with the regular stages, which I appreciated.
Yeah, Beeper says
like 3 more.
Beeper says that Bad Dudes was the only good boss rush refight, and that's because all the bosses have half health, and you can literally just kill them in like 2 or 3 seconds. Like, okay, I'll take that. Like, that entire final room is just like, a few bad boss fights, but you don't have to do them as nearly as long as you normally have to. But yeah,
Bad Dudes in Mega Man 1, they don't restart the boss theme during the refights. They just
keep it going.
The regular stage theme going, and that's the secret. That's how you make it fun. That's how you make it good. Because Mega Man X, it's better than doing the capsules, but it still is like, okay, everybody stop all this. We got to do another boss fight.
Yeah. Perhaps you didn't meet Chill Penguin the first time. Perhaps you were not intimately familiar with him and his little pose. Would you like to see it? Would you like to see Launch Octopus point at you and then point down once more to indicate that you're going down? Well, I kind of always want to see that. I think that's my favorite animation in the game.
It's so good.
It's very
also
choice.
That you can, and then going through all the weaknesses and figuring out that you can cut off Launch Octopus's arms.
Yeah,
and
point at me again, motherfucker. Oh no, you can't.
Yeah, I think
and
the design
Mammoth's trunk.
Yeah, I think the design reason for refights is so that you can use all the weaknesses in Mega Man. It makes less sense in something like Gunvolt, where I don't think that applies.
No, I agree. Yeah, they work a reason into the plot for how the resurrections happen, which I think is very cute. So there's an actual like lore reason how these guys came back. I like that. There's a Medusa boss, and she shoots a laser at you, and it freezes you, and it only seemed to happen sometimes, and I couldn't figure out what it was.
Gosh,
and
I wonder what it could
only
be.
Freezes you if
I
you're
have no
looking at the
idea.
boss, which is so good.
The timing was just delicious.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fortress is really weak. That's true of Mega Man 11. It's true of a lot of these games. It's true of Mega Man. I replayed Mega Man 8 and loved it. And then the fortress stages are really brief.
Yeah, they're brief. They're kind of
The final boss is is a retread.
Yeah.
Mega Man X4 has really dope bosses in the fortress, but the stages themselves are like extremely truncated. There was just there was a sense to me, I feel like the dramatic identity of these games is very much formed by how the fortresses play out. I think that's a big part of why Mega Man 2 is so memorable to people, or Mega Man X1. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times when they're out of time, out of budget, where do we cut corners? Let's do it in the fortress.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's the best place to cut. You don't want to cut down on the identity of the game's stages and the bosses themselves, because that's the meat and potatoes ultimately. If you got to cut fat somewhere, it's got to be the Wily stages. Yeah,
it's just a bummer because Mega Man 2's fortress is so dope. It's so dramatic.
Yeah,
and it's where great. The games turn into. It's where they turn into Castlevania, where you just get this intense forward motion.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the story. So that's my one disappointment. I can't believe I have 4 more of these, counting 3, which comes out in 2 months.
Yeah. You've got the X series now. You got the rest of Gunvolt. You got so much stuff to look forward to. Look at all these things, and the best part is they're not obligations. Play them whenever you want. It's not a backlog. It's Christmas. It's just you get to open the presents whenever you want.
I don't have 4 more I have to play. I got 4. I thought I had maybe 1 cool game to play, and it turns out I got 4 more. Luminous X looks wild. It has a completely different movement.
Yeah, it's it feels kind of like an answer to Mega Man X in a way. Going from Mega Man to Mega Man X in a way is kind of what the X games look like to me. I've not played either of the X games yet. It's just from having seen them played, though, that's kind of like the difference that it feels like to me is that like one of it's kind of still like Mega Man, and then you move to Mega Man X.
I'm very confused on what X is, because on Wikipedia, when you click Luminous Avenger X, it just redirects to as your Striker Gunvolt.
Because it's one of those things.
Weird.
It's not notable enough. Nobody's actually made the X pages yet. Is probably what's happened.
Really?
That's
so wild.
Happened, yeah.
You're right. There's no wiki page. These are like big commercial releases on the Switch.
I know.
These are so niche. I never hear people talking about Gunvolt, except like I think Tom is my only Gunvolt friend. But
it's like the only thing I could compare it to would be like Rhett playing Robbie Ribby last year, and it being like that weird and niche. But even then, I feel like Robbie Ribby is more known than like these later Gunvolt entries.
Yeah, I'm glad the Blaster Masters seem to be blowing up pretty well because
oh my God, Robbie Ribby does not have a Wikipedia page. I am actually
actually kind of stopped. Yeah, huh.
I want to play that one someday. I have action games. I was like, I just want to play like a 3 or 4 hour action game on Steam, and I picked Gunvolt. And I also I kind of eyed Rabby Ribby, but then I was like, that's not actually a 3 to 4 hour action game. That's like a 20 hour epic.
That's a little more it's a little more of an investment. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I turned a Gunvolt into an epic, so I'm up for that. I just someday I'm excited. Rhett.
Oh,
what have you been up to?
What are you doing, Rhett? What are you doing?
What did I do?
What did you do?
I finished. So, what was it called? The game I last played. I talked about it. No.
That's a good sign for a video game that you played. It sounds like it left an impression.
No, Scarlet Nexus. Scarlet Nexus.
Oof! It had to be. It had to be Scarlet Nexus that you forgot the name of. Oofa doofa.
I would say maybe the name is the worst part of that game.
I'm like not sure it. I saw that name. I saw that name for the first time and said, "Man, that's so badass. I'm glad I'm 17 years old."
Yes.
Okay, yeah. It's evocative, but it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't
in the
say
game
anything.
Itself.
No, it doesn't.
I'm just saying, I finished that up pretty shortly after the last podcast a month ago, and I had said like, I don't think my opinion will change that much on it because I really like this game. And then the ending was really good. It resolved so much more of the story than I thought it had any right to. And it just felt like it almost feels like the 3 arcs of that, like the 3 kind of main story arcs in that game. It bites off way more than it can chew, but then it finished off a lot of it. It swallowed as much as it could, and it felt like it felt like I had finished a trilogy and not just a single game.
Wow, that's
the Brandon Sanderson effect.
That's a lot.
Cool.
Like it felt like if there's never a sequel, I'm fine because they tied so much off.
The director is real hype. He wants a sequel so bad.
Yes. I mean, don't misunderstand. There's definitely a way they could go.
Yeah.
That would make Scarlet Nexus maybe unrecognizable from the first one. Which is exciting.
Azure Nexus, of course.
Yeah. I just wanted to give a quick thumbs up to that game.
Yeah. Everybody I know that finished that game came away from it pretty damn positive.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Because I had initially gone into it thinking this is just the Elden Ring palate cleanser. And it's like, oh no, I loved this too. Shit.
Fantastic.
So the main thing I played was I went back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. And I played the second one.
Oh yeah.
Because when you buy them on Steam or anywhere,
I'm not used to that. Like I thought that I don't know why I thought they were separate.
They translated both at the same time because that's the only way they make sense is to just give you both.
Cool.
So when I talked about the first one in January, I think late January, John asked me, "So is it good? Did you like it?" And I went, "Yeah."
I'll let you know.
Like there was that hesitation. So I liked the second one. It's really good. There's no hesitation. It's really good. For real.
Cool.
I just think the story payoffs are what you want, and the filler cases are not as egregiously kind of goofy. I mean, they're goofy. Ace Attorney, but it's just like it felt like everything made more sense and like came together.
Was this the one where the like witch gets burned alive?
No, that's the Layton game.
That's Layton, yeah.
Okay.
But so the Layton one and these two games are the Shu Takumi directed ones.
Yeah.
Like he didn't actually do Ace Attorney 5 and 6. So like these are the real follow-ups.
But see,
And the funny
my
thing is
brain won't let me play the Great Ace Attorney until I play 5 and 6, though.
Yeah.
I hate it. My brain just, like, it works like that.
I get it. I think 6 even came out between these two games.
Yeah, I think it did, actually.
In Japan, because I was looking at like a chronological list, and it was like Great Ace Attorney, Ace Attorney 6, Great Ace Attorney 2, and I'm just like, oh, geez.
Oh, yeah.
There is one thing in the Layton game. They have a system where you witnesses or like people on trial, you can have multiples at once, and they kept that in this series.
Ooh.
And they didn't for Ace Attorney 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely something he wanted to bring over. Like it makes the questioning, the testimony, that's the word.
Yeah.
Like it makes those more interesting when there can be multiple characters on the stand. And like they might not always agree with each other.
And I think that's sort of like what Danganronpa does with its like with each phase of the trial, in those like which would basically equal the cross examinations in a Phoenix Wright game. Like I think that's why Danganronpa's like immediately pulled me in, and I was like, as soon as I played Danganronpa, I was like, oh, I love this way more than Ace Attorney. And it sounds like it sounds like what Great Ace Attorney adds there with that, and having multiple witnesses and stuff now might be something that kind of like gives me my back in.
It's definitely not Danganronpa. As soon as you said that, I was like, no.
No, I wouldn't expect it to. I wouldn't expect it to have that kind of tempo.
Yeah.
But like having multiple people there to bounce off of one another, I think is a really cool thing.
Yeah. I think I did think about Danganronpa and other stuff like Umineko during this of just like, I really liked the first 3 Ace Attorney games. It's a little hard to go back after the spiritual successors kind of took that ball and ran with it in interesting ways.
Yeah, that's
so going back to
That's why I'm having a hard time like loading up 5 and 6 and just diving in. It's just like I like these other things. Just like they came out and just ate fucking Ace Attorney's lunch.
I feel bad that I played Ghost Strike before any of these. It's
yeah.
I jumped in at the peak here.
Ghost Trick is incredible.
Yeah. I
think
really
that's at least a little bit more of a different thing.
Yeah. It's not so tied at the hip to Ace Attorney.
Yeah. The other thing about Great Ace Attorney Chronicles is that it's 2 games that are both a little slow. I have 76 hours played, and like that's obviously me fucking around and like tabbing and going browsing Twitter and shit. Okay. But these games are about 35 hours each. Like it's not that much. I think I had almost exactly 35 after the first one.
Gotcha.
Or at least 30. Like they're big boys. Like, and there's only 4 trials in each of them. So I think someone who said the first trial in the first game is like the longest tutorial in the entire franchise. Like all 11 games, which is just
Lord,
it's like that's the thing that's nice in the second one is that the tutorial, like the first trial, is not like 10 hours long by itself. But yeah, the story's really good.
Awesome.
That's kind of all I can say. It's hard to recommend in just the extreme length. Versus, it's like, hey, 1,000 episode shonen show versus 100 shorter shows. Yeah. Which would you get more out of?
Yeah, I would obviously take 100 shows.
Yeah, but I had a good time with it. I did not. I'm like, the way people are like, oops, all sequel setup for the first one is very much true.
It feels like it's 2 games. It's 2 games with 1 story, and to be prepped for that.
Yeah.
I will keep that in mind when I decide to jump into those. Yeah.
We're all again hardcore parkour gamers for life who can enjoy 70-hour visual novels.
Right.
I definitely went into it with the same mindset of Cold Steel 1 and 2 of like, you're not going to just stop after the first one.
Yeah. You're here for the haul, so you might as well get comfy.
God, they do a sequel tease right at the end of the first one, like after the trial, they reveal something and they don't bring it back until super late in the second one.
Oh, that's always the worst feeling. And then you're spending that whole second game waiting for that shoe to drop.
They bring it up in the fourth case. I'm just like, fucking finally. It got to the point where I had just straight up forgotten like what the thing had actually said.
Right.
I was just like, what was it again? I didn't take a screenshot. Shit, I'm an idiot. I have two other things, but I think they're kind of small, so maybe we can just roll over to Polly.
Yo,
Sure.
hey, hi,
Hey.
hey. I'm here.
What you been up to, friend?
What have I been up to? Playing video games? Can you imagine that? Me playing video games? I do
Wild,
that.
right?
I do that. I play.
You do it.
I do it. It's Luigi time. Yeah. Do you guys know Vertex Pop? You guys remember Vertex Pop, don't you?
I sure do.
They're a company
I played one of their games a little bit ago.
They're a company that released a game last year that I would not shut up about, and I continue to not shut up about, called Super Crush KO, which is a fantastic little beat 'em up that I'm going to recommend that everybody play again. Right here, I'll take.
Did you ever play this one?
Oh no, I have not, sadly.
Okay, I did, and I liked it a lot, so I was checking if it was Sockscast approved.
Oh yeah, we need to get this
Oh, no.
Sockscast approved.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I think this is
The pressure's on now.
Yeah. But recently, like a big bundle of their games like went on sale. Like you could grab their entire catalog for like $8. I was just like, that's craziness. That's great. Like, and I already had Super Crush KO, so like I bought in and I got We Are Doomed and the game that I'm going to talk about now called Graceful Explosion Machine, which it's a great game title. Loving that a lot. So coming into this one, like when you look at the screenshots, I thought that this was like a twin stick shooter, kind of like Pixel Junk Shooter, and I love Pixel Junk Shooter. That game's real effing good. If you didn't know. So that's kind of like what I always thought that this was. I thought it was just a cute little fly around twin stick shooter, but it's, by this company that's got or by this creator that's got, what feels like a pretty good grasp on action game language, and they know how to make games that feel good. So I kind of went into this game blind on a stream, actually. And it turns out that it's not a twin stick shooter. You do have to move back and forth, but you press the L2 button to flip your ship around.
Is it a defender shooter?
It's a defender kind of shooter.
It's a defender shooter.
It kind of is. But you press L2 to flip your ship around, and I thought, that feels weird. It feels like that this is just something that I could take care of much more easily if this is a twin stick shooter. And then you got to get out of your head because, like, no, wait a minute. I'm getting perturbed at the game for being something that it's not trying to be. Got trust the process. Let things happen. The game's gonna be what it's gonna be, and you just gotta chill and let that be. So what it is actually a wave-based arena shmup, and it's very similar to Super Crush KO in that like they gear you up with 4 unique weapons, like at the start of the first 2 levels or so. Like you get all of your main abilities, like in those first 2 levels, while they're teaching you how to play the game, so that when you start like the 3rd stage, you've got everything, and it's just like go. We've already taught you all you need to know. Now you just adapt.
Yep, it's anti-mobile design.
Yes, and that is. I'm writing that down because that is fantastic. It is anti-mobile design. So you get you get 4 unique weapons, and like 3 of them operate on a special power meter that depletes as you use those weapons. And you have your main blaster, which you always have access to, but it can overheat. So you're in this constant balancing act with your weapons, where you've got to manage the heat of your main blaster while also managing the special meter for your special weapons. So The special weapons you get, of course, like I said, your normal blaster is just like you always have that, and it's just like it can overheat, and then like when it overheats, you can only fire like 1 shot per second or something, and it's really hard to kind of work with that. So the first thing they give you is a 360-degree sword spin attack. That does a shitload of damage, but it's also got
Fuck yes.
bullet destroying capabilities.
Oh yes, I love swords and shmups so much. I don't want anything besides swords and shmups.
It feels real good because you swing that thing around and you like kill like 20 little pissant enemies at once while also taking down like 3 or 4 enemy shots coming at you, and it's like oh, that immediately feels real good. They give you a sniper laser that is just this focused like constant damage per frame, basically, when it hits the enemy, but it drains your special meter like fucking crazy. And then it's also like hyper focused, so you can't really cover a lot of area around your ship with it, so you leave yourself vulnerable. And you get cluster missiles, which can be fired in these huge waves. It consumes lots of energy, and they're also controlled via your movement. So like when you fire them forward, and then you like move your ship up and down while you're chasing them down, and you're like, it's like chasing like it's like in football, like chasing a defender or an offensive lineman as you are a running back down the field, and just like putting all those missiles down, and of course, what if I told you that your spaceship gets a dash move and it lets you dash right through enemies?
Does it deal damage when you dash through them?
No.
It's okay if it doesn't. Okay.
It doesn't do damage, and you are still susceptible to bullets.
Yeah.
So,
that's juicy.
So it's like the opposite of Super Crush KOs, where you dash, but like you like when you dash in Super Crush KO, you destroy bullets.
Mm-hmm.
So basically the game is like you get every stage has a set number of waves with a set number of enemies per wave, and as the waves go on, and like even in the middle of certain waves, like the terrain will change in the arena. So it's like the game will like each stage kind of dynamically like changes the playing field of how it's working, and the stages all loop around like Defender, but like with the terrain changing, it changes how enemies can spawn, like what can spawn on ceilings and stuff, and it like limits your movement. Like that stuff's just like really fun, the way it kind of like limits your mobility options and all that stuff. And it just kind of like really got into like, it really surprised me that was like a thing, because I hadn't thought about the terrain, because the terrain isn't harmful in the game. So I just thought, it's just, it's there for visual effect. It's there to kind of give you the general shape of an arena, but oh no, they add to it as the waves go, and they like block off certain little easy pockets to get into. It's like and as you play this game, as you like bounce back and forth between your weapons, you're doing this delicate juggling act, you're dashing back and forth through enemies to get out of tight situations, you're pressing L2 to change whether you're facing left or right. All of these systems come together, and you start to realize that this game feels like you're playing a character action game, but it's a shmup.
That was the impression I got looking at your stream. I was like, this kind of looks not in a bad way. It looks like Super Crush KO.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if you would have told me that like they did Super Crush KO and then like did this next, I'd be like, oh yeah, it makes sense how like their fighting game would like influenced and created this really cool shmuppy game. But it's the opposite, where they made a shmup that felt like a character action game first, and then they made the character action game.
That's really funny.
And I just love this game to bits. It was really solid start to finish. Like, I couldn't believe that like I came into it like feeling a little, man, I kind of just wish I was playing Super Crush K, or I wish I was playing a pixel junk shooter, because that's kind of like what it was presenting as, It's kind of like the same thing when I first played Faerun, and it was like, I wanting this to be East 1 or something, when that's not what it is, like
the Chad. I wish Faerun was more like Ease 1 versus the Virgin. I wish it was more like Zelda.
Yeah, I think that's I will 100%. Yes! I'm here for it. That's such a solid. Yeah, writing that down too. That's real good. It is kind of funny how like that was like my first touchstone, right? I went to East before I like Zelda wasn't even on my mind. But yeah, Graceful Explosion Machine. Like this game, like went in expecting something, feeling a little disappointed at first, but like just like as that stream went on, it was just like, oh wait a minute, like no, this is feeling real good. Coming out of the other side of these stages, like barely surviving because it's got some teeth, and this game is actually harder than it looks on the like. It's definitely got it's definitely a meaner game than Super Crush KO, I think. It's definitely you will be struggling for those S ranks because this game's got a pretty strict combo system that they want you to play with, and it feels good to interact with it. Like when you keep seeing that number like hit 8, hit times 16, and you're racking up points like hand over fist. It's like, I don't want to drop that multiplier, but you're like, I need to survive. I gotta bail, and you just gotta get out of a bad situation because if you don't, like, you're going to take the hit. So it's like, maybe if you like dash all the way out and like don't take the hit, and maybe you like an enemy will have popped up over here that you can like still tag and keep that combo. It's just like all of these decisions that you would make in like a Devil May Cry game or something. I was making in this very cool little side-scrolling shmup. And like that L2 flipping, rather than making it a twin stick shooter, I feel that like that being a limitation makes the gameplay feel so much more snappy and interesting for some reason.
Cool.
Like I'm not sure why, because like obviously like you would prefer to have that that freedom of being able to aim your shots anywhere you want with that second stick. Kind of like But I think if they would have went that way, I think I would have fallen off of this before I finished it, because I think that like now that would have probably made it boring. Like I'm thinking now about all those times, it's just like, you know, being hyper aware of what way you're facing and just like what way I need to be going, or like, do I need to like fly backwards and shoot ahead of me to get out of this situation? Like all of that stuff makes a lot of sense. Like having that tied to a button. And
Castlevania 4 is the best one because you can whip in any direction.
See, that's the thing. It's like I think that like letting you whip in all the directions in Castlevania 4 actually makes it a pretty boring game in a lot of areas. And I think that like that's what would have happened with Graceful Explosion Machine if they had gone that route. So now I'm really 200% here for like pressing that L button. Like thinking back at the number of times where I was just like in tight situations where I was desperately pressing that button to get out of situations. It's just like, this feels weirdly good, and I don't know why. Like it feels like it's a flaw, but it's not. It's just baked into these systems in a really cool way, and it makes this game have a very cool feel to it. It makes it feel more manic somehow. I think it adds to that with the dash and having to press a button to change your direction. I think that adds something really cool and interesting to the gameplay that I didn't know that I was looking for, and I didn't know, like, I didn't trust was gonna work at first. It's just like, I can see this being a hindrance later, and just like as I got to the later portions of the game, I just felt way more adept. It felt like, no, the game's built for this, and it feels really cool to do it.
Awesome. I think sometimes like when your controls are like awkward in a specific way, like that awkwardness can wind up giving the whole feel of it like its own character. Like when everything else is really tightly designed, having that one thing that's just like, okay, this is a little weird, but then that weirdness just becomes like really endearing. Yeah, like that's I think that's exactly what happened here. It's just like I kind of gave myself over to it, and then like it was like halfway through the second world, it was just like, oh no, this is just kind of second nature now, because like the game is built around this. It's not weird. It's not a flaw really. It's a different way of doing this that I hadn't thought of, because I had played this other game that looked like it in the past, Pixel Junk Shooter. And it's just like my mind was just kind of programmed to see this kind of game in that way, because I thought, oh, like this is the best one of these that I have played. So I wasn't sure like how to trust what Graceful Explosion Machine was doing,
until like I just kind of gave myself over to it, and it's like, I get it. I'm the big brain now.
I'm the big brain now.
I'm sure you could relate.
Oh, absolutely. I like the moments. It'd be funny if there was a live feed of at what point do the co-hosts wish list the game that the other person is talking about.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah, like man, you could have got their like I was shilling it all last week. You could have got their entire collection for $8. It would have been. It would only been like $3 if you already had Super Crush KO.
So it goes.
So they'll be on sale again, I am sure.
It'll be on sale again. This looks dope. Does it also have the Super Crush KO thing where it has like a very nicely compact set of levels?
Yes. Yeah, like it's like the entire like it's got 4 planets. Like each planet has like 8 to 10 levels, and you just go in and like
dope.
It's the entire progression system. Like they basically took Graceful Explosion Machine's progression system, and that's how they made Super Crush KO. Basically, it would be, cool. I guess. So it's the same menu and everything. So you will be immediately familiar with what that game be doing.
Good. I played Super Crush KO. I got all the S ranks.
Yeah.
Took like 3 or 4 hours, and it just made me feel warm and good inside.
I think I got like 3 S ranks in Graceful Explosion Machine. It's much harder. It is so much harder to keep a combo going in that game.
Excellent. Cool.
All right. How are we feeling about a 5-minute break?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Snappy this time.
Yeah, it's going right now. I think the back half will be a little more juicy. I got a big one. So I got a big one. Like Red.
Big, fat, juicy one.
All right, we will be right back in like 3 to 5 minutes. Get up, get you some stretchies in. Whatever you need to do, we'll be right back. slander.
Ugh.
I can't believe I have to put up with this slander.
I'm sorry, no one here is a nerdo.
No, never. There are no nerds.
You're all super
None.
nerdos.
Oh,
Damn.
got him.
Absolutely fucking dumpstered.
All talking about video games and shit. Psh.
Oh, is it time to talk about intellectual things like anime?
You just said, Red. Oh my god, Red. Did you? Oh, Red just said intellectual things in anime. Everybody, did you hear that? Time to talk about intellectual things like anime.
I was being sarcastic. By the way.
All right.
What a nerdo!
I think I might be able to meet you there. I might actually be able to bring some anime myself to the table instead of letting you shoulder that burden as like Atlas the Titan, carrying the anime section of our podcast every time.
Right.
Atlas is my favorite Attack on Titan.
Because I watched a lot of anime. Right?
You watched all the anime?
Oh God! I just had a horrible reminder of what we're going to be talking.
I know.
Oh,
Polly.
I want to die. I want to die.
Well, you see, Polly, I watched 58 episodes of Hunter x Hunter.
I think it's just called Hunter x Hunter.
I don't care. I'm going to call it
I'm
Hunter x
just
Hunter.
saying. That's how I've heard everybody say it. And I don't want you to look weird or like the dork in front of your cool new shonen
wait.
friends.
Yeah, when we're talking about Spy X Family.
That's how you say it, right?
No.
I reject. Oh, what? So is it just Romeo Juliet?
No,
is the show just Romeo
I think it's Romeo
Juliet?
cross Juliet.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes the
That
X
one's a
doesn't
cross.
mean anything. Like in Spy Family, literally means nothing. In Hunter x Hunter, means nothing. But like fucking like that, like Xenoblade Cross, that's what that game's called.
It's Xenoblade X.
No, it's Xenoblade Cross.
Is it Mega Man Cross?
No, it's
is it Mega Man Cross 2?
No, it's Mega Man X. In that instance.
I reject the reality that's being thrusted upon me.
Remember that
like,
cool
with
Mega Man X Toho game I played earlier in the year? It's called Udangin Cross.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Oh, you got me.
It is. So the X.
I actually knew that one somehow.
So the X can be X, it can be cross, and it can be nothing that you don't even say with the title.
Oh my god.
Hey, guess what? Death of the author. It is what I say it is because I am the audience, and I create my own reality from the fiction that is presented to me.
Okay, well, if you want to be that arrogant.
I always want to be that arrogant.
I mean, yeah, it just kind of comes with the John Thayer territory, I think.
It comes with the John Thayer territory. So Hunter Cross Hunter. I've wanted to watch this for ages. I really like shonen is the thing. I haven't watched very much of it, but I've thirsted to watch it for a very long time.
Right.
I watched like a season of Attack on Titan ages ago and loved it. I watched a bunch of Dragon Ball Z as a kid and loved it. When I was a kid, it was airing. It was pretty late, so I caught like a bunch of the Boo stuff, and it was just like, I'm not sure what's going on here, but I somehow this feels momentous and interesting to me. People die. People sacrifice themselves to do a super mega attack to defeat the ultimate enemy, and then they just die, and it doesn't work. Like my 10-year-old brain can't understand this. It's very intrigued.
I think specifically the Boo arc in Dragon Ball Z doesn't make sense, even if you've been keeping up with that show.
I believe it. I think it's also past the point where they had been killing everybody and then bringing them back to life constantly.
I think there's a part in that arc, spoilers, where the entirety of Earth's population dies, and they wish them back with the Dragon Ball.
They wish them back with the Dragon Ball, yeah.
So, they stopped giving a shit about stakes at some point.
I believe it. To my 10, I think that's probably still intact early on, and to my 10-year-old brain, I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
It's the craziest shit you've ever seen.
It's the craziest shit I've ever seen, because it just was completely unlike any kids entertainment I'd seen up to that point. I watched Soul Eater ages ago. Go ahead, Rhett.
Kids like Western like cartoons are like, okay, we're gonna make a Spider-Man show, and Spider-Man isn't allowed to punch anybody. And the authors are just like, oh Jesus, what? And then Dragon Ball is just like, oh yeah, we fight to the death.
Like, what are the kids cartoons I've watched the Western kids cartoons I've watched lately? Oh, Tangled and Steven Universe and She-Ra. Those are very, very nice, gentle shows.
Yeah. Easy to digest, nothing challenging here.
No, not in the. They're definitely not violent. No. In the same way, She-Ra's got some good shit in it. I'm very excited to finish that one before too long. I'm watching it with a friend, so I'm poking through it slowly. Going back, and then so I watched Soul Eater ages ago, loved it. So I've just kind of watched this world, and I've just been like, oh, I wanted to watch Dragon Ball Kai at one point, but at that point it wasn't really streaming anywhere, and for some reason I was too cowardly to steal it, and I'm sure I'm over that by now.
That's funny. That's funny considering the number of multi-million-dollar movies that you've stolen.
So yeah, I've just been entranced by this world for a long time without really diving in myself. And I just had a feeling about Hunter x Hunter. I just had a feeling about it. I was like, people really like this one. I'm watching the 2011 show, for the record. People really like this one, and I don't know anything about it. I'm just intrigued. I'm just interested. I kind of want to sample this. And I saw that the first arc was like 26 episodes. And I was like, I can give this the first arc. And because that was another thing. I think I kind of had for a long time had the brain of like, if I'm going to sit down and watch a show, I'm going to watch all of it, because otherwise my Mal thing won't be finished. I won't be able to mark it as completed. So I can't just watch a little bit of a show. And I think that also kept me from being able to enjoy these.
That's the thing with a lot of shonen anime adaptations, is that they're really long. Like One Piece has over 1,000 episodes now.
Yeah.
People are just like, oh yeah, if you're not into this, don't get into it, because it's insane. Like, you have to have just been keeping up with it for like the last decade.
Like, if you're going to keep up with something like that at this point, it has literally got to be the only thing you're watching for the next 4 years in your house. Like, when you are awake, every waking hour, your TV had better be watching episodes of One Piece.
Or, wild concept, you can watch a season of TV and then go do something else. And that's allowed.
It is. It is.
Especially with something that is not finished and will never be finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm trying to kind of expand my palette a bit past like I feel like it's a recurring complaint on this show, like it's not finished, it'll never be finished.
Yeah.
That thing. And that's legit. That is a very annoying negative thing about modern over serialized media.
Yeah.
It's part of I think it's part of why the MCU kind of sucks. I think there's a lot of things.
I had my exit point there. I got out right when they closed one book.
Yep. They did Endgame, and then I was done. Bye. It's been so easy. The only time I almost dipped in was for Spider-Man. Did you watch Spider-Man, Rhett?
No, I still haven't.
Yeah.
I didn't watch 2 or 3.
Yep. That was my thing. That was my switch flipping, was just like, oh, I can just watch one arc of this and then leave, and that's fine. So I watched one arc of Hunter x Hunter, and then I was like, the next arc is only 12 episodes. I can give it one more arc. I'm fine. I'm up for it. I'm having a good time. Let's give it one more arc. And then I finished that arc, and then it was, next arc's only 20 episodes. I can give it that. I can give it one more arc. And I watched 20 more episodes, and I did all this in like 10 days.
Good Lord.
No, it was like, I think it was like 2 weeks. And the show's really fucking fun. So it's very hard to give like a synopsis of Hunter x Hunter because it barely has a premise. It barely has a hook. It basically feels like this is all of my ideas for like shonen action stories, and I'm just going to throw them all together into this one grab bag of a thing. Like the hook ostensibly is that there are these people called hunters in the show. And the main character, Gon's dad, was a hunter and left him when he was very young to go out and see the world as a hunter. And they're like these licensed, super cool, super strong guys who do stuff. And it's now very non-specific. So Gon wants to go and get the hunter exam, do the hunter exam so that he can go find his dad. Being a hunter basically stops mattering after the first arc.
Kind of like, yeah,
and
like Soul Eater has a gimmick at the start.
Different.
Yeah, Soul Eater has a gimmick at the start first where like it's 7 episodes and then they throw it away.
Yep.
Oh, right. The soul weren't they trying to like collect 100 souls or something?
Souls, and it's like, yeah, they gave that up after like
they just
6 episodes
or something. It's so funny.
That's
because I was thinking the way John talked about this show not having an overarching plot, I was thinking, oh, so it's the anti of Inuyasha where a gem explodes at the start, and then they go, well, time to go gather all 130 pieces, and then that's actually what they do.
I watched the first 2 episodes of Inuyasha, and I got to that, and I was like, I see where this is going.
Even when I was younger and watching that, I just hit that point. It was just like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Those first 2 eps are really good, too. It's like really pretty.
I mean, everything has to start really good, especially, if you're going to plan to hook people in for like a decade.
Especially beloved decade-spanning shonen properties.
Yeah.
So it's like like the story is ostensibly that Gon is going to try to find his dad. There's been like 1 development along that front in 58 episodes.
Oh boy. The most anti-me show that you could find.
But it's not episodic either. It's just that there are 3 arcs, and each one of those arcs is very complete and satisfying taken on that terms. Here's 26 episodes of Gon taking the hunter exam, which is basically like a series of tests devised by the hunters. They start with like 400 people and then weed it down to like a very select group of people who all have their own super cool powers. And it basically never is just, here are 2 people and they're going to fight, and then the winner moves on. It is so wild how few actual fight scenes there are in this show, even though it is definitely like an action show. Like, it is constantly just weird and different and out there with how it handles conflicts. The climax of the Hunter exam arc is a tournament where you watch one battle that isn't really a fight because one person just is outrageously more powerful than the other person, and then it flashes forward to the end of the tournament, and it's good. Like, it doesn't feel shitty. It feels smart and well done because of how it's handled. Like, it's so weird. Like the candle thing that I tweeted at one point, that's from this show, where someone holds out 2 candles and says, here's how we shall handle our dispute. Whoever's candle goes out first loses. And he holds out a long candle and a short candle and says, pick which one you want to light. Should I pick the long candle? But wait, he knows I'll pick the long candle. So obviously that one is trapped. Maybe I should pick the short candle. Wait. So they have 2 characters off to the side, like narrating, like which candle should they pick, and then Gon just walks up and grabs the long candle and says, "I'm picking the long candle because it'll take longer to burn out."
Okay, good. That's what I picked on the poll.
Yeah, you. That was the right pick.
Yes, don't overthink it.
You see, the thing is, when both candles were trapped. And when he picked the long candle, he swapped out his short candle for another non-trapped short candle. So it didn't matter which one he picked.
That's pretty good too.
Shenanigans.
It's pretty good, right? It's very funny. It's just like it presents like these really simple arcs, and then they never resolve quite how you expect, is kind of what I've been taking away from it so far. The whole second arc is literally like, here's a tower. It is a battle tower. We shall fight our way and become the top ranked tower fighters. And even that, like, doesn't quite go how you expect at every stage. It's just fun. Like, I think honestly, the touch point for me is probably Death Note, where it's a lot of like mind games and weird magic rules, and almost nothing is ever just resolved by punching real good. It's always resolved by like really clever, convoluted mystery magic shenanigans that are set up and established and then paid off in really cool ways. So it doesn't cheat either. The third arc is the most recent one, and it's the one where like it suddenly gets very violent, where it's just like they introduce like 10 different bosses that are like outrageously more powerful than anybody they fought before. The heroes don't stand a chance against them, even though they've become so much more powerful. And then those 10 bosses are just fighting the mafia in a city. So that you have these scenes of like 500 hired, just regular military people with guns versus these shonen baddies, where one of them is like, I have a vacuum cleaner that can suck up corpses. And one of them is like, I fight with a cell phone that can control your mind.
Oh my God.
God, what are some of the others? They're so fucking wild. I have a book where when I open it, I can control the powers I've stolen from other people, the Nen powers from other people I've stolen in the past, but only under certain conditions.
Okay, now you ask us which of those three you made up.
Oh, there's also the character. There's also the character who, anytime she sleeps with someone, she takes on their accumulated experience, and she gains those levels for herself.
I get that reference.
You get that reference.
I feel like I remember that reference from something, but I don't remember where.
I don't think John mentioned it when he talked about J.K. Haru as a sex worker in another world.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's the deepest cut.
Look at me going for the deeper lore here. I saw the opportunity. She sounds like a shonen protagonist at this point.
Absolutely. There is a character there is a lady that can kiss people and then mind control them.
I mean, it's kind
of
like,
not great. Hey, guess what? It's not great with women.
Oh,
well.
But you know what? It's not great with women in a different way than all the other shows I've been watching.
It just doesn't have any.
Because it just doesn't have any.
I mean, I think, like, given how women are often portrayed in shonen media,
yeah,
I'll take that.
It's weird coming off of all the Chuny stuff, which is like all harem stuff, where like the story is, I'm going to help you navigate your trauma, and then we'll fall in love, and then we'll move on to somebody new. This is just like all boys club, just boys all the time. They finally introduced girls in the third arc, and their powers are kiss people to mind control them, magic vacuum cleaner, and fights using a needle and thread.
Oh my God.
It's pretty rough.
Rhett's like, fuck this show.
Oh yeah, as soon as John said no girls, I was like, I'm out.
The hell do I have any need for this?
I will say the needle and thread girl and vacuum cleaner girl are extremely cool.
Well, so's Garie in Symphogear, and I think that she probably sets that whole thing up way better.
Which one was she again?
She's like
the blue girl with
the goth
sharp teeth.
Yeah, the goth girl with sharp teeth.
Season 3.
Gotcha.
She's very good.
Very there's some very good bits in this show. Again, it's just very good at creating like intense stakes to the fighting, where you really, really believe this person is so much stronger than the heroes.
And how well done are the stakes?
Unbelievably. They're extra rare because they're very good.
Okay.
They're bleeding rare.
Like you showed it a picture of fire and scared it a little bit, and that's all you need.
Mm-hmm. But again, the fight with those 10 bosses, it doesn't resolve in a fight. It resolves with like basically a heist. Like it's so funny. It's so good. It's like a magic heist. It just kicks ass. I'm just having a ton of fun. Again, it's just like they got to this 20 episode arc with these new characters, and it's just like it became a different show, kind of. And I kind of suspect that the next arc is just gonna become another different show.
Yeah.
The 5th arc is 60 episodes, so
that's a lot.
Oh, is that the whole? That's the whole rest of it, isn't it? Or no, maybe not.
So I have arc 4, which is like 17 episodes, arc 5, which is 60 episodes, and I have no idea what it's about. It's Chimera Ant. I have no idea what that refers to. And then a 12 episode closer. So, and the manga is not finished.
Oh, good.
So,
yeah,
great.
So however this ends, it will not be the end of the story as a whole, because that doesn't exist, even though the manga's been being written for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing about the manga not being finished is also has not updated in a year, at least.
I think like 3 years, yeah.
It's been extremely, extremely sporadic.
Mm-hmm. Just like Berserk, and that worked out. So I think this is a point where it's like, I'm watching this because I don't care. I'm just gonna each already like the overall story is so not what I'm here for, because there isn't one. I'm just watching this guy that is probably very good at writing shonen action, because he wrote Yu Yu Hakusho, which I've only heard good things about. I kind of want to watch it. And I suspect that it's just like, okay, I'm just going to have a ton of fun writing a bunch of nonsense. And it feels like purely fun in how it's put together. And again, it gets really violent. It got like Full Metal Alchemist violent in the 3rd arc. It's fucking great. So here for it.
I think if each individual arc leaves you feeling really good at the end, like it doesn't matter that there's no big connective tissue or that it's not finished. If each arc can kind of stick the landing.
Exactly. I'm just enjoying it as like a weird anthology almost, I guess. Which is exactly like how Sword Art Online works, but except it's bad. It's very funny coming from Sword Art Online to this.
Yeah, I imagine.
I had an idea for a tweet that I didn't say, but the way you were complimenting the show was like, guy who has only read Sword Art Online reading something else. Wow, this sure is well written.
I think literally anybody would say that, really.
Getting a lot of well-written vibes from this.
I'll say I had a couple friends come at me or respond with like, Hunter x Hunter is so much better than all the other shonen shows, and its themes and characterization are so well done. And I know
it's like, funny seeing like the praise for it, and then the way you're just like, yeah, this is just made up while being written bullshit, but it's fun.
I saw some tweets last night with some people, and I was just like, this is going weird. There's about like, if there is like more nuanced characterization later, don't fucking tell me. Just smile and nod and go away.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, if it gets there, that's great, but
having a lot of fun with it now, so please don't kill my vibe.
Yeah, these are very simple characters, just plowing forward at 100 miles per hour, and it's a blast to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm fine if it is just that for the rest of the show. I'll be perfectly content. And it makes me want to watch more shonen, because again, I can just watch one arc and then drop it. And then if I don't like it, and if I like it, then I have more good TV to watch.
There you go.
This really does kind of feel like the anti-shonen, though, where it's less about the fighting.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It makes me want to watch a show that is all about the fighting. Because there's like episode 38 where they just have an extremely good fight. And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And a big part of that was because they had that long build up. But also, I bet Yu Yu Hakusho is real good. And again, I still want to watch DBZ Kai to kind of fulfill the longing of my childhood self, who really appreciated what that show was doing. And Kai cuts out all the filler. That's the other thing. Both Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter just have no filler. It's just straight manga material.
Dragon Ball Kai cracked me up when it came out, because when that show was airing in America, like on Cartoon Network, I think, people were like, they cut out the violence and some of the filler. They would cut like episodes here and there. And then Dragon Ball Kai comes out and they cut out the violence and a lot of the filler. And people were like, oh, now the show's watchable. I'm like, what? What the fuck?
Wait, so they still cut out the violence? It's still...
I think Kai is censored.
Huh. Weird. Oh, well. I just want to watch DBZ. Some form of it. I want that in my life. So yeah, that was a very fun anime journey. I liked opening myself up. I watched the first season of K-On! I kind of feel like I want to wait. I'm also watching Tomoko Market. And
I'm curious about that one.
It's very cute.
Is it more K-On!
No, it's weird because it's like cute, likable cast, but then there's also this sort of weird fantasy element on top of it that makes it feel kind of distinct.
Okay.
I don't want to I want to wait until I've seen the movie, because I think because apparently the movie like really brings it home in a cool way.
Cool.
Oh fuck! I forgot the director's name. The way we talked about last episode, I watched Silent Voice and motherfucker, what was her name?
Liz
Yamada. Naoko Yamada. So I'm probably gonna watch the rest of K-On! At some point, and I want to finish this show, and then that's pretty much all of her stuff. So I can
don't you do that to me.
Summarize the whole arc.
She directed Sound Euphonium. God damn it!
No, she didn't.
Wait,
she did not direct Sound Euphonium. She directed Liz and the Bluebird, but she didn't direct Sound Euphonium.
Okay, I just glanced at her Wikipedia page, and it is on there as series unit director. I guess that's not really.
That's I think that's that is a different
you're right.
position.
Yeah, that's not the same. I just saw the name there and I was like, hey, wait a second.
Yeah, you pointed out that like after Liz and the Bluebird, like there's going to Sound Euphonium was a really obvious arc, but for me, I was like, I kind of want to follow this creator to her other stuff.
Hey, on the movie 2011.
Yeah. So I have one other thing I want to talk about. And we're going back to video games because you had that great anime segue. So we're jumping around. Do y'all like RPGs?
No. Hate them. Can't stand them. Can't stand them.
You're excused from this chunk of the podcast. You don't have to worry.
Taking the earbuds out now. All right.
Rhett, somebody go like RPGs?
Really loud when you're done. That way I can hear the earbuds. Okay.
I'll go.
Yeah, please do. Okay. All right. I will see you
Damn
guys when you're
it, that's just a normal sound I make sometimes. I just realized.
Damn, that was fast.
All right. Red, do you like RPGs?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Do you like 80s RPGs with fantasy in the name?
Nah.
No.
Oh. Polly, do you like 80s RPGs with fantasy in the name?
There are RPGs from the 1980s that do have different versions of the word fantasy in the title that I do like, yes.
Do you like RPGs from the 80s with fantasy in the name where fantasy is spelled with a PH instead of an F?
There's definitely one very large instance that I can think, because I don't think the second one came out until 1990.
The second one, I think, Phantasy Star 2, I think, was like in the 87 or 88. It was pretty early.
Really?
No, it wasn't. No, what am I talking about? I'm completely out of my mind. Oh, no, 88. Was it really? Was the Genesis really out in 88?
Sega, what are you doing? Sega, you crazy. Bringing about the 16-bit era so early?
No, it was 89. Okay.
What are you doing, Sega?
Phantasy Star 2 was 89. I was confused.
All right.
Well, I played the 1985 SSI RPG for many computer platforms, Fantasy, spelled Phantasie.
I'm sure a lot of podcasts are talking about this banger this week, so we're jumping right on the bandwagon here.
Talk to us like we don't know anything about this game or the platform it's on. Just for the audience's sake.
Yeah, just for the audience's sake. So, my journey with this is that I've been reading blogs and various internet content around 80s Western computer RPGs for probably a decade. I remember watching some Ultima videos like a decade ago. And getting intrigued. I played through Akalabeth and Ultima 1 with a walkthrough, and I used a really bullshit glitch in Akalabeth so I could beat it in like an hour. And I was like, oh, that was interesting. And then every subsequent stab at playing any of these games has completely fizzled out. Potentially because every single one of those stabs was me trying to play an Ultima game. I kept trying to play Ultima 3 and Ultima 4.
Ultima is really like the fucking dry toast of RPGs, I think.
I'm not going to write it off because I don't feel like I've given any of them like a real shot. But it's definitely not an entry point for me. The vibe I get from various blogs and whatnot is that Ultima, the combat is kind of just sort of a secondary thing.
Yeah.
And the dungeons are just kind of a secondary thing. And really it's about, here's a massive world to explore and a bunch of people in it. And then you can talk to the people and they'll have like these cool keyword systems where you can ask them a bunch of questions. Like it's a text parser game.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of depth versus like Wizardry versus like Etrian Odyssey, where it's like a hardcore, really annoying dungeon crawler, which I like. Ultima, it's like you're asking me. The combat is not going to be like the main thing here. You are asking me to spend 30 hours running around, taking a bunch of notes, mapping out levels that aren't even that hard, and I just don't think I had the patience for it. So I haven't played Wizardry, even though it looks really good, because it's going to be like 30 or 40 hours long. And that's a lot of graph paper.
Those are going to be a slog. Having played Wizardry in the past, like those games are a lot.
The spinner tiles where you land on them and it doesn't animate the spinner. So you don't realize that you've been spun around.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It's miserable. It's misery.
It seems like the most hard-ass version of that kind of experience.
Yeah, it's very mean-spirited.
But with permadeath also. Like you can get around that by backing up your characters, but it's
that up,
built with permadeath in mind. So, and then Might and Magic is like 60 hours long and it is insanely big.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I have all these ones where I'm like, I could see enjoying this, but it's so much. It's so much to ask. Fantasy. It's SSI. They went on to make like Pool of Radiance and a bunch of other games that people really, really like. And it is blissfully like 10 hours long.
Oh, good.
And it just feels fucking great. You start playing it and you walk outside and you get into some random encounters and then you level up and then you start beating the random encounters a little bit faster. And it's like, oh shit.
Actual progression and it feels nice.
And it feels nice. You get a sword and then the sword is stronger than your current weapon and you equip it and then you kill enemies even faster. Ooh. And I'm like, oh, you go to the next screen and there's a big map, but you only see a little bit of it. And then when you walk over a map tile, when you walk over bits of the map, they automatically light up and stay lit up forever. So then I walk back and forth across the map, filling in all the tiles and they stay lit forever. And it's like, oh, I'm exploring.
An auto map. Are you kidding me?
There's an auto map. You go into a dungeon. The dungeons aren't first person. They're completely top down and it automatically fills in, but it's a single screen. It's basically the auto map is the dungeon.
Right.
Oh. There's no graph paper mapping. It's all automatic.
Yep.
It's all auto mapping. There's still secret doors. There's still gimmicks. There's still stuff where you need to pay attention. All the secret doors are telegraphed with hints. At least most of the ones I found were telegraphed with hints elsewhere. So like, you just feel you can't save in the dungeons. You can't rest in the dungeons. So you go in a little ways and you're like, oh, my resources are low. And then you retreat, go back to town, heal up, level up, get some new equipment, go back in, explore the rest of the dungeon. You go through the whole dungeon takes like maybe 30, 40 minutes. Ooh. It's pretty quick. And it just feels real good. I'm just, oh shit. I'm just playing an RPG now.
You're playing an RPG that, like, I would say it feels JRPG adjacent enough that it's like, it's an easy in because there's a lot of language there that you already understand, but it's not 100% like a Dragon Quest or something.
Exactly. It feels, it has a number of the things that I would want out of, like, not a JR. I would want out of this, where it's very open-ended. You can explore pretty much the whole map right away, which feels great. And the way that the little interactions in the dungeons play out is very cute, and it definitely makes you take notes. It feels specific. It just feels like Dragon Quest. I'm just playing Dragon Quest. I'm playing this game. I'm playing this game for DOS, and I'm playing Dragon Quest. And I'm like, yes. This is all I ever wanted. Thank you. Thank you.
I just wanted Dragon Quest.
I just wanted Dragon Quest, and you're giving that to me. Thank you. Now that's partly a goof, but also just like the goal, I think, in playing these old games is to hit that point where you're familiar enough with the language, and it feels good, and it's well constructed enough that you just slide into, I'm just playing a video game, and I'm just having fun. And I got there real quick with this.
That's good.
And it just felt miraculous. It felt so good. I played the DOS version. I tried playing the Amiga and Atari ST versions that have way better art. And also they let you transfer characters to 2, because 2 came out on a bunch of computers. It did not come out on DOS.
Oh,
3 did. 1 and 3 did. 2 did not.
Oh, wild.
It's very weird.
Yeah, that's weird.
But the DOS version feels fucking great. It's all keyboard. It's all arrow keys. In the Amiga version, you have to like click 3 separate sub menus just to attack every round, and it feels awful. Yeah. It's so slow. DOS version, you just press enter. It fights, and you can hold enter to fast forward through the fights. So it's speedy. Everything moves quick. Once you know that you're safe, you don't have to just watch every round play out closely anymore. The way the auto map looks and plays out, it actually reminds me a lot of Rants. It feels just like Rants, which was the reason I started in the first place. I saw the map and was like, "Oh, this looks like Rants too."
Oh,
Of course.
Yep. Fantasy was apparently pretty popular in Japan. All 3 games got PC-88. It got like PC-88, Sharp X1, FM7, MS exports. Yeah. Just the whole gauntlet.
The whole lineup there of all the good Japanese computers.
Including a Japan-only sequel called Fantasy 4, which looks exactly like Rants 3. Everything about the interface looks exactly like Rants 3. It came out first.
Oh, wow.
It's very funny.
Oh, you think Rants was lifting from these?
Oh,
I think Rants was...
I don't doubt it.
Yeah. The first one came out before Dragon Quest, and the ending dungeon you fight is on an island directly across some water from the starting town. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know anything. I know very little about this world still, so I feel like these could easily be that there could it's like, oh, you're copying this, when really like this is something like 10 different games do. Or something.
Yeah. It could and it couldn't be, but this sounds like really on the nose.
Yeah.
In any case, I'm pretty sure Rants had played these. So I just had so much fun. And I didn't have to look at a guide a single time. I got through the whole game taking very careful notes, and several times getting stuck for like a minute and then immediately finding the way forward. I solved several puzzles myself, and I just had a smooth cruise through to the end, and then it stayed hard, and it stayed like slightly hard the whole time.
That's how you like it. You want it to be smooth, but it's got to be like real hard too. Just like I like it smooth, but just make it real hard too.
Like
penis,
like a penis, exactly. And then it came all over my face at the end, and I was I couldn't have been happier. So yeah, I was really pleased with this, and I feel very happy to have. This feels like the culmination of a 10-year journey, to just play and like one of these games after reading about them for so long. And I feel like this can be the entry point, because there's several more like 10-hour long games from this era that look really fun to me. And then if I play and enjoy those, then maybe I'll be ready for one of the beefier ones. Who knows? The world is my oyster.
Can you eat oysters? Is that like a gluten thing?
I can eat oysters, but I can't, because I can't eat saltine crackers. And if you're not going to have saltine crackers,
why bother? Why fucking bother?
Yeah, you put the oyster on, you put it on the cracker, you put some cocktail sauce on, and you eat it, and it's delicious.
Yep.
But no, I can't do that because I can't eat saltines. So no oysters, thank you.
Unfortunate.
So I know that you were all really, really aching to hear my fantasy take. I know that's what you've been hungry for the last month.
Oh yeah.
For basically the whole run of our podcast.
Like I was
and I'm glad that one of us finally jumped in.
I couldn't sleep last night. Like I knew that we were going to be podcasting like less than 24 hours later. It's just like, man, like John's going to be talking about fantasy, and I just like, man, I can't. How do you sleep? How do you do it? Like, how did you sleep? And you're the one that had to talk about it.
It was tricky, but I got there. So yeah, that was it felt like an indie RPG, basically, where it's that same energy of like playing a remake of Dragon Quest 1 or Ys 1, where you
right.
snap through it in a couple sittings, and it's like, yes, thank you.
It sounds a lot snappier than these kind of
Ultima.
RPGs tend to, given like our wizardries, our Ultimas, Might and Magics, which tend to run like hearing that there's a 10-hour one of these is kind of like, I could probably play that. I could probably do that.
I know. Given the vintage, it sounds remarkably modern. Like 10 hours long with an auto map is like, what?
Yeah, an auto map is just
80s?
In the 80s. They had auto maps. They knew how to do that.
Yep. 85 pre-Dragon Quest.
Computers
85. Like, what the fuck?
Like when the NES came out, and they didn't do auto maps on a lot of NES games.
They knew how to do it. They just chose not to.
Those absolute bastards.
I'll say, if I got through Wizardry, if I just like stuck my nose on that grindstone and beat Wizardry 1, I would be prepped for any dungeon crawler for the rest of my life.
Like I would say that like this game probably prepared you for like a pretty simple dungeon crawler, like something like Mary Skelter or something. Like you could probably like, I think that like this game gave you some of the chops to approach a game like that.
Yeah, I'm very pleased and excited. I'm probably going to play more of these. I think it's pretty funny that I played Final Fantasy 9 and then Xenosaga, and then was like, I need to jump continents for a little while.
I need to just like, let's turn this way the fuck back. Like, let's take things a little further back. We need to dive into the past. We're going back.
He's gonna take you back to the past
to play the RPGs that kick ass.
Thank y'all for listening. That's been my grand CRPG journey. Who knows where the winds will take me next?
The C doesn't stand for crap after all.
It's not too late to be the summer of Umineko.
No, it's not. That's not where my brain.
It's May. It's not summer.
Yeah, it's May.
No,
it's not even
yet.
Summer yet. So.
I'll get back to Umineko. I'll get back to it at some point.
I'm telling myself that too, because like when you played episode 1, I played episode 1, and then I started episode 2, and I just kind of fell off for some reason.
Oh no!
Not that I hated it. It's just like I got into doing other stuff. I think I started making. I think like around that time I started making ASDF, and then I just got completely distracted.
Gotcha. Well, Umineko is basically just like Hunter x Hunter, where it doesn't the grand story doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
it's really
it's no
about
big
like the
deal.
individual arcs.
Ryukishi
So you just
is
jump
going to
off.
come to his house and your house and kill you.
It's just like Higurashi that way. It's like each
Yeah.
arc is just sort of its own thing.
Not a lot of substance in the main arc, but you fire up those individual arcs, and it's just like, yeah.
There's nothing to put together there.
No.
Umineko, you can really just play 2 episodes and dip and have a good time.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Good stuff. Episode 2 is a good stopping point. Don't worry.
Rhett, what else have you been up to?
So I played some more games.
Yeah.
I did watch anime, but I'm not going to bore Polly with the tale of me watching Girls in Panzer the 3rd time.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that show already twice on this. So
It's very good.
Excellent.
I finished it and thought, yes, this is the bar that a 10 out of 10 needs to hit.
Good.
I played Rogue Legacy 2.
Okay, now I'm
I haven't heard
interested.
anything about this.
I've literally not heard anybody talk about this. And this was a big game back in like 2012 or so. I remember like everybody I know played that game, and it was like, yes, this is really dope and cool. And then the sequel comes out, nothing.
Nothing.
No.
I think that's just kind of how these decade-late sequels go.
Do you think Early Access killed it too?
I think Early Access may have helped it a lot, actually.
Oh, yeah?
I think because it kind of helped, because it was out there in some form, people could play it. Like, I don't actually think this game is bombing. I think we're just not in the circle. Because I saw a thing.
Okay.
Like, they posted a news update, like 22,000 concurrent players, which I think is a lot. Like, this isn't like Elden Ring or something.
That's huge.
I'm looking right now on the Steam thing, which is okay. Rogue Legacy right now has 9,000 players and a daily peak of 14,000. Like for a single player, indie game, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like this is like actually the lowest peak point for Steam right now, like based on the users graph. But I saw that arc where first game was huge, and then the second one with Spelunky was one.
Yeah, that one.
They really designed that towards the kind of the hardcore streamers and stuff.
Yeah,
and not an indie game in any way, but Mario Maker 2 was also.
Oh yeah, that one.
I was thinking of Axiom Verge 2.
Oh, Axiom Verge 2 came and went. That was like the silentest fart I've ever not heard.
I forgot that was a thing.
Yep.
I did. Yes. But I would say I don't feel like Axiom Verge was ever as big as Spelunky or Rogue Legacy were for their relative time periods. Because Rogue Legacy, I think that is like in the evolution of roguelite games, like an extremely important one.
Sure, yeah.
Like that one really kind of set
Rogue
the pace
Legacy
for a
ruined them. After Rogue Legacy came, and then everyone realized, oh, we'll do it like this. We'll make it bad. And then everyone decided to make the games bad instead of good.
I mean, no, that's definitely
that is what happened. People saw that progression mechanic worked, and everybody made to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying very hard to say roguelite and not roguelike with the K. They sound very similar. It's not a great name. There was
I'm being very facetious. I'm not plugged in with these games, so I don't. When I say that Hades is probably really boring and bad, I don't know. I don't actually know.
Okay. There was there was like a rogue sale on Steam, and they had 4 categories that you could filter the games through. And they were fucking insane because they were roguelike, roguelite,
action roguelite.
No. The other 2 were Souls-like. And Metroidvania.
What?
And the funniest part of all that was that I looked through all 4, and Dead Cells was in all 4. So
yeah.
completely useless.
Completely worthless
filtering.
categorizing, yeah.
Like, the fact that Souls and Metroidvania had somehow become subgenres of roguelike was like, what the
That's insane.
Yeah, I don't get Souls at all being like No.
Absolutely bizarre. But anyways, so the thing that Rogue Legacy 1 did was introduce permanent currency between runs.
Yeah.
And like that was its entire deal, was that you ran around a bit, you killed a bunch of enemies, you collected gold, and then you could spend that gold to buy an upgrade.
Yeah.
Like now you're 5% stronger or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
Which is an old idea. Like there's a bunch of them from the 90s that build on stuff like that. It's totally legit.
To me, it was like, hey, we did the Flash game thing basically, because there were a lot of Flash games as well where it's like, throw a paper plane. Okay, now buy the upgrade to throw the plane further. Like it was literally impossible to actually do good on your first runs. What I liked about Rogue Legacy was because it was like an action game, you could in theory beat the game on your first life. I don't think you'd like have to literally not get hit, but you could. And there's even achievement. It's the one achievement I don't have for the original is to beat the game in 15 generations, which is really tight.
That's really hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But they said it's possible. Yeah. It's reasonable. So that was the first game, is all upgrades. And then since then, almost every roguelike, whatever, has some sort of permanent currency between runs.
Yeah.
I haven't played nearly all of them because the genre blew the fuck up in the last, 9 years.
Yeah.
But I have played Dead Cells a bit. I've played Hades a bit, and I've played Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
And all three of those have some form of money that you power up your character between runs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Binding of Isaac, which is like the one big one that I know of that does not have.
See, that's always kind of been.
That's Spelunky too, right?
Yeah. No, Spelunky.
Right.
Well, Spelunky's got like.
Right.
It's progression based stuff, but it's not like you get stronger or better.
I thought it was like the shortcuts, right?
Yeah, it's the shortcuts.
Spelunky has the shortcuts. That's different, I think. Yeah, Spelunky is like the truest rogue like where you don't really get any true assistance because the shortcuts lock you out of like the true ending stuff.
Yeah.
They're practice options, basically.
That's how I use them.
Yeah. And there's no like, oh, now your whip is stronger. Now your jump is higher. There's no unlockables either. Isaac is all about unlocking new stuff to get, which is, but it's not currency based. The thing about Rogue Legacy 2 is that they didn't evolve enough given how much that genre has in the last 9 years, I think, where it's just, you do a run and you collect some money and you buy some upgrades. And they've added a lot to the game where like there's actual character classes now. Like not every character. The first one you get is the big sword over the shoulder character, like the knight.
Yeah.
That's like the kind of the default basic class. The other classes have different weapons. There's like ninjas and pirates and archers and mages. There's a whole bunch of them. And like that's probably the best part of the game is having all these different classes and different play styles. But I think a thing about a lot of the roguelikes I've played is that your character grows and changes over the course of a run. Again, not Spelunky, but like specifically like Isaac or Hades. Dead Cells. Yeah. Or even Vampire Survivors, which is like the distillation of that formula is where you start with one character and they have one weapon, and then you get 5 other weapons over the course and the upgrades and stuff. Yeah. Characters in Rogue Legacy feel like they're 90% done as soon as you start a run, because they all come with their weapon, they all come with their talent, and then they get like a randomly generated magic spell as well. And like there's stuff you can find along the way, but like there's things called relics that are kind of like the item pickups in Isaac, except they're all really boring is the problem.
Oh no.
Like the best one I've seen is like applies spore to an enemy so that when an enemy dies, it does like a poison explosion. That's like the only single one I can think of off the top of my head that isn't just numbers changing. Everything else is like deal 10% more damage on the ground or deal 15% more damage to enemies that are far away.
That's not very thrilling.
None of them are thrilling. None of them really change the game. I think there is one that's like make a canopy like a platform when you air dodge, which it changes things at least. but like very, very few of them seem to not be number based.
Ugh.
And like
It does not spark joy.
it does not spark joy. It's just like they don't go for like the most basic low hanging fruit of like, now your weapon applies ice. Like just simple, easy status effect stuff doesn't even seem to be in here.
Jeez.
You get a double jump, like whatever.
Well, you do get a double jump.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, okay.
They have like permanent. Yeah, there are like permanent kind of Metroidvania, as they describe it, upgrades, and they're the most basic possible. Where it's literally when you start, you can only dash on the ground, and then the first one you can now dash in the air.
Oh boy.
And then one of them later on is now your dash is longer.
Oh jeez.
And it goes here's the weird part. It goes through these like shadowy barriers that are extremely, extremely similar to the void. I think they're even called void. It's just the thing in Hollow Knight.
What?
We stole the doors from Hollow Knight.
Oh jeez, man.
Remember these doors from Hollow Knight?
That's our gimmick worth stealing?
And then, so I should have mentioned this first. One of the character classes is called Valkyrie, and they have like a big like spear weapon. And it took me way too long to realize what was going on here. The spear makes a little like crescent shape when you swing it. And the thing that's unique about this character is they can attack up and down. So you can swing up, you can swing across, and you can swing down. And when we swing down, you kind of bounce off the enemy. And I thought, this feels really good and familiar in a way that even the Knight class, which is the Rogue Legacy one, doesn't.
Right.
And then I realized, oh wait, this is just Hollow Knight. It's literally
the Hollow Knight attack animations.
It's like exactly the same.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
The fact that this class has like this extremely similar looking attack and can pogo off enemies, and that's their deal, is like hilarious. Like it seems like they kind of ignored the last 9 years of roguelites, but they did play Hollow Knight.
I mean, if you're gonna crib from something, you might as well crib from one of the best.
They definitely. There's one game they very much played, and that was Hollow Knight, because there's two way too on the nose references in it, design wise.
Maybe they did. Like, this is one of those games that people spend 5 years on. And it's like, all right, I'm going to grind away at this. I've got time for one game. Let's play Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
All right, back to the grind.
Or maybe they played Hollow Knight in 2017 and immediately started on this.
I think this game was in development in 2015, though.
Oh, God.
Really?
This game's been in early access for a long time.
I think it's been in early access for like 2 years, and those were pandemic years, so you know.
Okay, but I also know that this was in production for a long time, because I know I heard about this game a long time ago.
Yeah, that makes sense, because as soon as it hit early access, it had to be playable. So like that's also several years of work probably.
Yep.
It feels so dark when people burn like 7 years on games that don't even turn out to be kind of that great.
That's why I make games in 4 days.
Yeah. I don't know. Or games like this where it just feels like kind of chasing a specific trend or whatnot.
They did have a game in the meantime, Full Metal Furies.
Full Metal Furies
that.
I don't know that I know anybody that played or enjoyed.
I've read an interesting article about that game, in that, you know how The Witness has a second layer to it?
Yeah.
John? There's like the puzzles on the screens, and then there's the other thing.
Yes.
Full Metal Furies also has its own other thing. There's like this extremely complicated puzzle system in it that like literally no one found.
Oh wow.
No.
That's rough.
So I was reading this article like years after that game came out, and I'm like, what do you mean what do you mean it's a puzzle game? What? Like reading about all this crazy shit that's in there that nobody ever found.
Oh. Well, you gotta suspect that it happens sometimes, right? Not everybody's environmental station alpha.
That's the other one I was going to think
uncovered.
Of, like that could have just also gone completely unexplored if the game had not sold as well.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder where Frog Fractions 3 is hiding.
God, that's so wild.
So Rogue Legacy 2, though, is that another thing about the modern roguelikes that I've played, I mean, whatever on the word, is that there's rising and falling tension in that you start at the beginning of the world and then you fight a boss and you go to the next, like in Isaac, you do a level and then you fight a boss and you go to the next level. Dead Cells, Hades. Hades has really cool explosive boss fights in it. In Rogue Legacy and Rogue Legacy 2, the bosses, once killed, stay permanently dead.
Mm.
And I think combined with each character kind of feeling completed as soon as you roll them means that you have two options with each new character, and that is farm gold or go and try to kill the next boss.
Yeah, that's kind of what all your runs are either going to be.
And I think that worked for the first game because, again, it was a different time. It was 9 years ago, and that was also a much smaller game. And it's just kind of exhausting in this one because of how I think they've tuned the game to be much more grindy.
That's a common complaint that I'm seeing, too.
This game is... Okay, so here's like the real reason I don't like this game is that it is miserably difficult.
Oh, no.
Like, I think there's 6 areas this time. Like, it isn't quite as small. It's bigger than the first game. Mm-hmm. The first 3 areas I thought were fine. Mm-hmm. And then you unlock like shortcuts so that you don't actually have to go through them each time. You can just pay to make warps that are permanent.
Cool.
But then I think that also gets fucked up with the gold farming stuff where it's just like, do I just warp to the hardest area and just immediately die after like 3 minutes? Like it's an unsatisfying loop.
Yeah.
Because I think trying to farm like the easier areas, you don't get enough money fast enough to also feel worth it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like the fourth boss was just the fourth area and the fourth boss were just such a difficulty jump where it just took me a long time to get past it. And the boss does a thing at the end of its fight that made me so mad I almost jokingly uninstalled the game.
What was it?
Go into its death throes and it's something that can actually kill you?
Basically.
Yeah, they did the old...
It's basically a very long 2-phase fight that then has a third phase.
Oh.
That is not a joke phase.
Oh, good.
That killed me like another 4 times.
Oh, that sucks.
Like it's like they tried to do, the boss in Hollow Knight. I keep going. Pretty early on in Hollow Knight, there's like the wizard boss.
Yeah.
And then you kill it, and then it comes back to life.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's very good.
It's a great boss.
They very much tried to have that moment, but I think it kind of whiffed.
Oof.
Because the surprise phase is a little bit too difficult.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it is too difficult, I think. So it's just like, I was so elated finally beating that boss, and then it comes back to life and immediately one-shots me. I'm just like...
Yeah, fuck this. I'm done.
And that's not the one I kind of have quit on.
Oh.
Because the next boss is like 2 eyes, and they just, they do their Don Maku patterns.
Yeah.
And they're not quite easy enough that you can deal with 2 at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And the timing just feels a little off. And then at half health, the third one comes out.
Oh, good.
And I've survived on that second phase like for like 10 seconds after several tries.
Oh, jeez.
It just feels like everything in this game is tuned towards not letting the player break it, which feels like just removing the fun from it.
I think that is definitely a case with these kinds of games, is like where...
Yeah.
And I think Binding of Isaac set that standard of just like, let the player fucking have fun. You can still make a challenging game around that. Just don't box the player in these weird, arbitrary ways that make the game unfun.
Mm-hmm. Just the way, like... I found like a double relic, like supposed to be twice as powerful, and it was like 12% more damage. I'm just like, that's not a game changer in the way you think it should be.
Yeah.
It really feels like this might have been better just as like more of a straight action thing.
Yeah. It's like, it would be too long if they expected you to do the whole game in one life, but I think it would be more interesting in some way. And like, if there was actual character growth in the middle of each run.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so kind of miserable to me when you get back to the headquarters and to cash in your gold, and like say an upgrade is like 1,000 or so in the mid game, and you have like 12,000 gold and you buy a couple things, but each thing is like 1 more HP or 1% more damage. It just feels bad because there's never a point where you go, this will change things.
This is definitely like that. Me getting an extra 13 damage is definitely going to be it.
It's definitely like you just push a brick millimeter by millimeter or whatever. You're just pushing against a wall. Like you're never going to push down the wall. You're just pushing it a little bit until you can get good. And you grind against the boss, you grind against the areas until you just get barely good enough to beat it. And then you hit the next wall.
Oofa doofa.
They also seem to have really tuned it for New Game Plus and beyond. And I'm just like, well, I'm probably not going to beat it once. So
I think I saw Lyranet mention that like he said that like whatever the second half of that game is, he's not here for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's exactly. Yeah, it was 4 out of 6 that broke me basically.
Brutal. Yeah, that's rough.
It's just, it's an okay podcast game, but maybe not, because even then after like a couple hours, I'm just going through the fortress over and over to collect money to buy these absolutely tiny incremental upgrades.
Start every run with 3% extra health.
I think it would be 1% the way. Okay. Can I talk about how insane the grind in this is?
Absolutely.
How intimidating that fucking skill tree is.
Oh,
where it's just like, there's health up version 1, 10 levels. Health up skill 2, 10 levels, but they're more expensive. Health up skill number 3, 10 levels, but they're way more expensive.
Right.
And then there's a different currency that you get from killing bosses that can level up the skills themselves. So my health 1 actually goes to 12 now.
Oh God, this just sounds.
This sounds like a gotcha game, but without, except you can't buy the currency.
They thought making that part of the game bigger somehow. Like I think they thought that was the fun part of the first game or something, because that wasn't.
Everyone played Hades for 100 hours.
Told them it was.
They are games for 100 hours.
I think the thing with Hades that they missed is that has the narrative.
Yeah, like
and
Hades,
the voice acting.
Yeah, it's got a big story going on.
Like Hades never repeated voice acting in like 25 hours for me, which is insane.
That's insane.
Like there is an absurd amount of story content, even if it's not like actually great story. It's just they made a voice line for literally everything that could ever possibly happen. And somehow it keeps track of not repeating to make everybody feel like actual people and not just scripts.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, when I found that you can level up the skills themselves, and even that is a minor level where you can add 2 levels to your HP 1 skill.
It clicked in my brain. This feels like Fate Grand Order. It's the same thing where there's no moment where it suddenly gets easier. It's just pushing forward that millimeter by millimeter by millimeter by millimeter for over hours and hours and hours.
There's like, I saw that one talent that the characters can randomly have is really good against the boss I'm stuck on, because it basically gives them a Toho hitbox, but they take more damage. But there's like safe spots on that boss, which is probably an oversight.
I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted hearing about this.
Just hearing.
Yeah, I thought about checking this out since, like I have access to it, but I'm just like, nah, I think I don't need this in my life.
It's just, they have, I feel like they've just doubled, not even doubled. They've 2,000,000% gone into the grind aspect.
Yeah.
And maybe the way it is a result of that game being early access for 2 years.
That's what I think. I think that like that having that much access to it and a community behind it that constantly like was pushing that game to its boundaries, they had to scale it up the way that they did, just because you have this dedicated community that's playing it, and it makes it really warps your sense of balance.
Or I wonder if it was like the way Vampire Survivors is right now, where it's just everybody plays the update.
Yeah.
does everything and then needs the next update. So maybe that skill tree was way smaller originally, and then they were like, well, we'll add some new levels to it. I don't know.
I mean, I kind of think that that's probably what's going to happen to Vampire Survivors too.
Yeah, at least that I still think that basic game is very dumb and fun.
Oh yeah, like that. I like, so long as they don't ever change anything about that, they're probably fine.
Yeah, but yeah, getting into that is kind of starting to get overwhelming because there's all this skill trees, not skill tree, but like the achievement list is like getting longer and longer. Like doing specific runs with specific characters to unlock.
Y'all need to play. People need to play chill, nice, small games like fantasy. It's only 10 hours long. You do all the achievements. You get every side quest done, and then you map out the whole map in 10 hours, and then it's done.
Think of how good you'll feel every time you finish unlocking every block on a map. Think of how good that feels.
Think of how good that feels.
I do that in every fucking dungeon crawler, and it gets me in way more trouble than I need to be because my instincts are like, look, you don't have the resources to do this, but my brain is like, I could probably get like 30 more blocks before I need to get out of here. And I cannot tell you the number of times that I've been playing a dungeon crawler, and that has been my ultimate demise.
But Polly, doesn't it feel so good when it's all mapped out?
It's incredible. It's such a dopamine rush just unlocking those little squares.
Mm-hmm. What if you could never unlock all of the map because it's constantly randomized each run? Hell.
That's absolute hell.
Oh no.
Well, thank you for going to the trenches and filling us in, Rhett.
Yeah. I really wanted to like it. I bought it at launch. I was like, let's go. Need me a VTuber listening to game.
Yeah, you've not, like, I noticed that, like, something may have been amiss when I didn't see you playing it as much as I kind of thought you might, given how much we liked that first one.
Because I think the first game gave you more feedback, and it was way shorter.
It was way shorter. It was simpler. The upgrades felt more substantial.
Yeah. It felt like your skill as a player
mattered a lot.
Mattered more to beating it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Versus the endless grind.
It's just, there's a way to wait. So I will give a disclaimer to anybody who's like, not that has like literally ever happened on this podcast. There's some way to make these bosses weaker in this that I don't know what it is. It's like a lore quest thing that's like really hidden.
Uh-huh.
I think the one for the thing I think the thing for the fifth boss is like, read this one diary 10 times, and so you have to climb the tower 10 times, and it gives you a new page each time. Mm-hmm. Maybe that will eventually just make the boss weaker. I don't know.
Cool.
That sounds really dumb and tedious.
Because the bosses have just all felt overwhelmingly hard, but especially 4 and 5.
I think that's got a lot to do with being an early access, and you're only exposing yourself to people that are playing that game hardcore, and the game is not going to be hard for them after a certain point. So you've got to keep tuning that game to that focused audience. I think that this game ended up way too focus tested with the early access crowd, and that's really what happened.
I definitely do know that literally there is a mechanic to make the bosses weaker, but I don't know how it's done. I just didn't want to look it up, but maybe I will if I just don't want to just actually hate this game. But also, it is interesting going through the patch notes of like them balancing against really good players, where like the shield on the knight used to have like a much larger parry window to block 100% of damage, and now it's like super tiny. That they were like, this character is too bad for. I know, it's like, this character is not good enough for average players and way too good with expert players.
Who cares? It's not a competitive game.
Yeah, that's true.
Let people have fun. Jesus Christ. What are video games for?
That's that weird Elden Ring thing where it's like patching the game to...
Okay.
Go ahead.
Some stuff in Elden Ring was like legit broken with how much easier. Like the thing I did to beat the game has not been altered.
Okay, cool.
But like a lot of it was also PvP stuff that was actually broken. Mm-hmm. But yeah, balancing single player games after they've been out for a month is weird.
Yeah, that just sounds like a terrible way to approach maintaining a game. Like, just put it out, and if people know how to break your game, let them have fun doing so. Like, what is it hurting at this point?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Got to make it as tight as possible.
Is there a fucking leaderboard or something? I doubt it.
Yeah. It's just weird when that post-release updating thing is kind of in service of like, let's limit the player. Let's
take away player
strategies.
Expression. Let's take away player expression. Like, I don't understand that methodology at all.
It's a roguelike that is like, please don't break it. We're going to do everything we can. Please don't break it, even though that's kind of the fun of the genre.
Yeah, I think that's why most of these games are fun. Getting ridiculously overpowered within a set of systems that are designed to like try and keep you from doing so, but not like with Binding of Isaac, for instance, like. There are systems at play to try to keep you from getting that overpowered, but with a certain amount of skill, like, you know, since a lot of that game's like heavier hitting items come. It's
truly random.
Yeah, it's truly random, and a lot of the best stuff comes from like Devil Deal rooms, and those are hard to get. So. So like when you're balancing the way that this game sounds like, it's just taking away all player expression and just like, you know, this game must absolutely be perfect and hard. I will not have anybody say that I made a game that could be easily bested. It's like, dude, let it go.
I remember when I had Rhett playing this is a different thing sort of, but I remember when Rhett was playtesting my puzzle game, and I was like trying to close out all the solutions he had.
Yeah.
He found. Yeah. I did that, but I also realized as I was doing that, like the more I tightened that up, if all I did was close off the solutions, then I would have like a really lame level because it'd be very tightly telegraphed. So I had to like balance that with trying to leave enough room for the player to like move around and have, I don't know, just an extra thought. It's hard to balance things. It's hard to balance games at all.
Yeah. It is. Like, even with Poly Dungeon, I had a lot of problems, like mid to late game, making sure that like that game felt good, despite the fact that it's just a shitty little press
literally button.
That's very funny.
But like, I had to make sure that like I don't want to put out a thing that's just like unfair and unbeatable. So I had to like late in the game, like I had to go back and change like every single level up bonus, like got reworked. I think like for the last 3 floors, I went and changed like damage values. I halved them on the game show floor where you go in and you open 20 chests. Those cool. Each chest used to be like 10 damage, and I made it 5. Things like that. Like, balancing games is hard, but like actively balancing the game against the player and removing expression in the ways that this game is doing it just sounds like the wrong way to handle that.
Yeah, I guess it feels weird to me because like I've balanced games, and outside of that one example with Rhett, pretty much every single change I have ever made after playtesting was to make a game easier. Yeah. Every change was to realize like, oh, this was demanding more than the player than I expected. So I don't know.
Video games, they're impossible.
Video games.
Who understands?
Did not expect the game I haven't beaten to be the big thing, but I needed to rant a bit on that one because it was just like, this is driving me nuts.
Yeah, like this just
I can't get an inch on this game.
Yeah, it just kind of sounds like they strangled all the fun out of it.
Wild.
So, Polly, you want to close us out?
Yeah. So, John, earlier when he was talking about fantasy, he was like, 10 years. 10-year journey finally comes to an end. Well, I can relate.
I'm going to get one-upped. I can feel it.
Because I have a 10-year journey that finally came to an end. I finished Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh, my God.
We finally did it, ladies and gentlemen. Xenoblade Chronicles is officially Sockscast approved. Man.
What a journey, huh?
That game. Okay, I will still say that, like, the first 20 hours, that it's by the numbers. It's by the numbers. It's not bad. It is not bad. But you gotta be in the mood to want to go just do some RPG stuff for a while.
Do some Tales shit.
Yeah, there you go. But once that story pops off around the halfway point, it's so hard to put down.
I remember flying through the back half of that game in like a week.
Yeah, like I put it down once just to kind of get myself away from the gameplay loop a little bit. But for the most part, like if you took the time that I played it, it was like when I went through the back half of the game, it was like 10 days basically. That game delivers real hard. Like the climax it's everything that it's ever been built up to me to be. Goes real hard. That ending is just real fucking satisfying. Like, I don't know what else I can say. Like, I locked into what that game was doing gameplay wise for the rest of the game. Like, and it felt good. That game's got some incredible boss design in the back half where you've kind of got to think out things a little more. You've got to look at your party composition a little more. I definitely was like changing my party around and playing with more characters than I thought I would. Because I thought I was just going to be like, let's just be Shulk the whole time. But you got to a point to where like the game kind of eases off. It's like, you don't really need to do that. But due to narrative things that kind of make it so that like you don't always have to be playing as Shulk if you don't want to. But like I started branching out and started playing with like Dunban and Melia and started having like a really good time with just like how nuanced and interesting and cleverly well put together the entire cast of characters is from like the gameplay point of view of everybody having a really unique role in combat. And you have to approach every single person differently. Like, you can't just like go in and just slam on attacks and expect that to get you through. It's just not going to work. You need to know how to play your character. It's very MMO-y in that way. Yes, Ryan finally hit the yoinky sploinky, as the kids might say. I guess I still think like my only real criticisms of it are, like maybe the slow first half, but I still don't understand the number of tedious and boring systems in this game that they just insist on being in there.
Yeah.
A lot of them extremely incremental systems that have very small and result in very small numbers increases.
Yeah, like I don't like what the fuck do I care that like plus 3% critical from the side on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Like dude,
it's like JoJo's stance,
right? Exactly. And then there's like the bad NPC affinity system where it's just like, can you name a single fucking NPC in Xenoblade Chronicles? Can you? No, you can't.
The amazing thing about that affinity is that like that's the thing you have to max in Torna. Not only did it not go away, they made it mandatory in one of the smaller
They
DLC
got mad
games.
because they knew that people like me hated their dumb bullshit. So they were like, well, guess what, motherfucker? Gonna force it this time. You're going to talk to my awful NPCs that add nothing to the story.
My favorite moment in the late game of that story, this is a very minor spoiler, is when you go back to Colony 6 and they're like, this will be our base for now. And if you haven't built up Colony 6, the characters are just having that cutscene in an empty brown field.
In a big empty brown field. That's what happened for me, because they gave me this fucking, like, they want you to get like some kind of fucking transistor to make to make something, and I was just like, where? And
I swear I ran through one of the early caves like 3 times trying to get this drop,
and I
did
could not get it.
it.
And I was like, fuck all the way off then. I don't care. If you're going to put like this entire fucking like city sim system behind a stupid ass system where you got like an almost 0% chance to get the item drop you need to unlock it, fuck all the way off. I'm not engaging with it.
I'm so glad that you can just ignore that. But that one cutscene towards the end is so funny because nobody doing that on that shit.
I was laughing my ass off when that shit was happening because it was just like, I've done nothing here. But yeah, like but other than the crappy systems that I didn't care about that you really don't need to engage with, like I dare say that like you don't need to engage with NPC and affinity systems at all. You don't even need to bother with the fucking skill tree system if you don't want to. Apparently, like, every character has 2 extra fucking skill trees that you can get that I never ended up finding because the game never surfaced how you might do that.
Wait, do you mean like the 3 different mood things?
Every character has 2 more.
What?
Every character has 5.
I've never seen or heard of that.
Yeah, they have 5, and that's the only way that you can unlock more Link skills. Is to get those extra slots and max those out too.
I'm trying to figure out if this is the menu that
This is the menu that you missed.
Okay, but you found it. But then there was an extra menu?
Because in Definitive Edition, like, the menu system makes fucking sense. It's just literally a JRPG menu where you got options on the side, and if there's something new in it, they put a little red dot by it.
I knew you could change between the 3 things. I didn't know you could get more.
Yeah,
That's
there's
funny.
like I didn't know this until I looked at a Let's Play. It was like, what, how do you have 5? Where'd you get those? And apparently
I built up Colony 6.
God, I wouldn't be surprised if it's something tied to that bullshit. Guess who's never unlocked Shulk's extra Monado skills, says Jetstorm 4. I did not get Monado Eater, and I can't remember, because I know Monado Eater exists because it's a part of something else, but yeah, I didn't get any of that extra shit either. But you don't need any of it to finish the game. It's totally fine. Like, I finished this game at like level 80 or something. I did minimal grinding. And even if I needed to grind the Definitive Edition, oh my God, they let you do it real easily. If you want to grind really easy in the Definitive Edition, turn on casual mode and then go anywhere where there are like level 96 monsters, and you can actually just kill them. Like, they just scaled the stats down to almost nothing, and they still give you like 50,000 to 150,000 experience. So if I needed to have grinded for the final level, for the final boss like John had to, that's what I was going to do, because I'm not sitting around for 2 fucking hours, like, traipsing around this world from encounter to encounter, because it's not super fast getting to encounter to encounter. You can't chain encounters really fast like that.
I was in the final dungeon. I like had there's like an area transition with some strong enemies, and I just ran back and forth between those 2 areas.
Nice. Yeah, like if I needed to have grinded, I was just gonna go to one of the caves where there's like level 99 monsters and just go kill a few of them, because you just bang out levels.
Xenoblade X was really good at that, where you could I had my character built in such a way that I could kill enemies that were well above my level.
Yeah,
and that gives you a really nice fat XP boost.
Oh yeah.
That's without any casual mode or anything. It felt really good to pull that off.
Yeah.
The problem is that grinding for money is extremely miserable in Xenoblade X. There's no easy way to get money, and that turns out to be way more important in the end game.
To get money in Xenoblade Chronicles, really, you just got to do quests. That's where all your money comes from. Like, they're giving you like wads of 50,000 gold per quest by the end of Xenoblade Chronicles. That's how you fucking feed yourself, basically. But yeah, like, I finished that main game. I was pretty satisfied with it. Like, that climax really went over well with me. I love the characterization they do.
It's so good.
The characterization they do with the main antagonist, and like before that final fight, feels really, really cool. And like and it's handled in a way that I don't think antagonists like that are ever really handled. And I really like that little nuance in character and showing that was some vulnerability. It was really, really cool.
In what way? You want to elaborate a bit?
Oh, well, it's just like he's genuinely fearful. Like, he's fighting you because he is afraid. Like, he's, this is a character that starts out just like, I am the inevitable. I am your inevitable end. And you prove him wrong. And you get to that final fight. And the only reason he's fighting back now is just because he's fucking scared of you. And that feels really cool. And the way that whole final fight plays out, and the way they play with like the context button of making you press B to do things, and it's just like, oh, that's so cool.
That's so awesome. I've seen that in like a couple RPGs where you have that where the end game boss is actually kind of terrified of you.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so much doper because it makes them scarier when they express that kind of like human vulnerability. And then they're like, I'm lashing out because I'm afraid. It
makes
feels
it
more
much more
desperate.
volatile.
It feels like a cornered animal.
Yeah.
It makes it feel scary.
It's volatile.
That's how Coder ends. It's how Dragon Quest 4 ends.
Yeah.
It rules.
That shit's cool. So yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles, absolute, like, it's tops. It's fantastic.
Cool.
So Definitive Edition also comes with a bonus, though.
Oh,
it comes
Ooh.
with an extended epilogue called Future Connected. And I'm going to try and talk about this as much as I can without spoiling the main game. At some point during this conversation, however, I am going to spoil Future Connected because I need to get this out of my head.
Okay.
I will give you the warning. I will give you a warning beforehand. Like, if you don't want to be spoiled on Future Connected, I'll give you your jumping out point because there's nothing really left on the show after this segment. But yeah. So anyway, Future Connected. As much as I enjoyed the ending of the original game, I think we can all agree that a certain character kind of ended up getting shafted a bit in a way that kind of left them in a pretty crummy situation compared to the rest of the cast, maybe. They kind of like lost basically everything and didn't really get anything back for it. And this extended epilogue tries to kind of take a stab at maybe fixing that and sort of putting that character on a better path, giving them a reason, giving them something to move forward with, which works because they're probably my favorite character in the game, which is why I was very eager to get back into this. And so there's that storyline, and then there's also this sort of monster of the week issue that needs fixing. But you go into Future Connected and you feel like it's sort of aiming to get this character that kind of got shafted in the original game. Like it feels like it's wanting to go do more with that. And so that's kind of like what the main storyline thrust here is sort of focused on, is getting that character into a position so that they can start moving forward with the things that they need to do to, you know, get their life and the life of their people back on track. So Future Connected plays largely the same as the main game, with sort of the only difference being that, hey, they ripped out a bunch of the tedious, boring systems like affinity and skill trees and shit. And you don't do normal chain attacks anymore. You get a new sort of bonus ability that you do by building up the party gauge. That gets stronger and more usable throughout this this entire quest that goes on throughout the course of the entire epilogue, where you're collecting no-pawn inspectors, and the more of them you collect, the stronger these attacks get, and the more no-pawns you get running around in the field with you. So by the end, like, I had like a whole army of like 12 no-pawns, of just 12 little fucking no-pawn prospectors running around with me, and it was very fucking silly.
Did this make you like the no-pawns?
This DLC, or not really DLC, but this extended epilogue actually did kind of make me like No Pawns a little more, because they give you two new characters that are two of Ricky's children. Ricky fucks, by the way, in case you didn't know.
I mean, I think the original game did make that clear. He was already a dad.
Yeah, he already had like 40 kids.
Okay.
So he's got, like, you got two of his kids. One of them is like a kid who, like, during the events of the first game, that kid's parents died and Ricky took him in. That's a very and they do a lot with that. That's really, really cool. So you got him and you got his sister, and like they are the absolute highlight of this fucking thing. They're so good. I didn't fucking do any of the heart-to-heart shit in the main game. I got one heart-to-heart event in that game. Yeah. I did every single one of them in Future Connected.
Wow.
They're easier to get to. They're easier to get in Future Connected. And they're all voiced in Future Connected. So they're worth doing. and you can't fail them or get like, you know, bad affinity points or something for those heart to hearts. So yeah, they're like, I did all of them in Future Connected. And like those two no pawn characters you get are basically replacements for Charla and Ryan, because they basically just get their attacks. And like I played through this whole DLC with Melia and the two no pawns, and like Shulk was just in the sidelines the whole time. Like Shulk is there, he's in all the scenes, but I didn't fucking use him once. I just played as Melia the whole time because she's a really...
For some reason, I thought Shulk was just completely out of this one.
No,
yeah, I did not know he was in it.
No, he's there. It's just, you know, like with where they left him at the end of that first game. It's just kind of like, I don't know. You're here. You're here because Melia asked you to be, I guess. But with the no pawn prospector thing, like when you get like when you fill up the party gauge, like your new attack is just like launching these sort of Final Fantasy-esque summons that are just like big, dumb, ridiculous no pawn attacks. And there's like, I think there's like 3 variations on each type, so there's like 9 attacks total. And they get stronger and add more effects like every time you collect more no pawn inspectors throughout the world and do their quests and stuff. So it's just this really long quest that I actually really enjoyed engaging with to track down all the no pawn prospectors. And basically that's kind of like, other than like the surface stuff, I can't really talk much more about it other than to say that like, man, I don't like this thing at all. I finished this epilogue at like 8:30 in the morning that I finished it. And the more that it sat with me all day, it felt like a bad meal that I had eaten at noon that just stayed like a rock in your gut. And oh my God, I just like, it does do the thing that it sets out to do with the character that I wanted it to do. It doesn't do it in the way that I wanted them to, but it does get that character to where they need it to be. And I was pretty happy with that. But other than that, like, I think Future Connected is something that you can largely skip. Just look up what happens, and yeah, because not a lot happens. It's not like it is like it took me 10 hours to get through, and the main game took me like 52 hours, so 62 hours for the whole thing.
That's very funny that you hit like 52 hours, because I was like 50 hours on the dot for Xenoblade 1.
Oh, nice.
And Xenoblade X and Xenogears. Like
oh, wow. That's
like
very
almost
consistent.
on the dot, 50 hours.
Very consistent. Very expensive. So this is a point where I kind of want to talk spoilers about Future Connected.
Okay.
So
I'm up for it.
So if this is where you want to bail, I'm gonna try and not say much about Xenoblade Chronicles, but what I have to say about this may end up saying something about that game. So anyway, if this is where you want to bail, thanks for joining us and all that. I appreciate it. But anyway, I'm gonna spoil the shit out of Future Connected now. So Future Connected story is about Melia sort of finding the conviction and the drive to become the leader she needs to be after the events of the original game. And there is a fantastic antagonist that gets introduced early on. He is a smarmy motherfucker you just immediately want to strangle the life out of. He's that guy that's constantly smiling with his eyes. And it's just like, stop it. Every single thing you're saying belies the look on your face, and I just want to put my fists through you. And it introduces a lot of really juicy themes dealing with race and superiority. And it's very, like, this is a very deep and personal thing that for Melia to be invested in and run up against. You know, it's a struggle of purebloods versus half-breeds, and like one trying to play superiority over the other, and like when she's trying to be a voice of unity. And like that makes such an immediately compelling story for her to be involved with. And the way that she's so completely disgusted by this turd and how it reaffirms her conviction, you get behind that. It feels really good. And you think, man, I am on board for something real good here. They're about to say some real shit. And about halfway through the story, you have a boss fight with him, and he literally just fucks off for the rest of the game.
Aww.
And you can play the entire rest of the game without ever seeing him again, because the last part of his story is hidden behind an arbitrary series of 8 fetch quests, and then he'll and then he will just appear at this, like, where you gain control of the party at the start of the epilogue, and you just go there and fight him. The way you unlock these quests is something that I don't think I ever ran into a single time in the original Xenoblade Chronicles or this fucking epilogue, is that you need to talk to a certain character with another certain character as the party leader.
Oh, weird.
That is something that I never had to do once anywhere else. Huh. But that is the only way you can open up this really awful set of 8 fucking side quests that literally just throw you as far away from markers as they can so they can make it as miserable as possible. So, like, you can warp there, but it'll still take you like 3 or 4 minutes to get to the item you need to get. And they do this to you 8 times, and sometimes each of those quests needs more than 1 item. So you do the dumb bullshit 8 quests. You get the letter, come meet me here. You go, you fight him, you go, you get a scene starts, no voice acting, nothing at all. We've just given up at this point. It's another easy boss fight. He throws himself off a cliff, and that's it.
Oof.
And
that's dire.
And in the end, the Monster of the Week story is what we close on, because Monado go vroom, I guess.
Wait, one more Monado what?
Monado go vroom. Like, I guess that's fucking it. And it's just like, a lot of people were pissed off about Future Connected because I guess they went into it thinking it was going to be some kind of fucking trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I don't know why. But I'm pissed, and a lot of people are pissed off because it's like, oh, they didn't elaborate on the romance between Melia and Shock. It's like, oh, fucking wonder why. Did you play the fucking original game?
She got dumped.
She's there he's there in the party as a friend.
And she look, and this game takes place literally a year and a half after the events of the first game. You think she's not going to be over it by that point?
Every lady needs to be part of the continuous harem circling around the main character boy. That's the only way RPGs can function, obviously.
Yes.
And apparently, and I didn't know this, but apparently, like, the Monster of the Week boss that is the star of this dumb fucking epilogue apparently is like just a palette swap from an enemy in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. but with just some filters on it. And some people and there's some like little implications here with like the way the enemy appears in the world and like the thing that you have to do to finally be able to hit it, that people are comparing it to the Hilbert effect in Xenosaga, and it's like, I think you're reaching. I respect the hustle, and even I felt that it might be a reference, but I don't think it means anything. I don't think that this is going to be connected in any way to anything going forward, despite being called Future Connected. I think that is just I think that is just named after what Melia's journey is currently on, as she's looking to connect the future because her people have been decimated in a terrible way, and she's trying to, reconnect that. She's trying to reunify things. And thankfully they set her on a good path, but I think the rest of this is just like, what the fuck were you thinking? Like, how did you not go with this antagonist that had such good motives to provide a fantastic foil start to finish with her, and you had to go with the dumb Monado go brrr story?
It just seems very... It sounds like it's just a very kind of hacked together.
Absolutely. And I'm not
or like
complaining
kind of
because,
hacky thing.
look, you get it for free. You don't pay a goddamn dime for it. Fine. But it's just like,
unless you played the game 10 years ago on the Wii.
Unless you played the game 10 years ago.
And then Nintendo has a new product to sell you.
Right. It's just, but like I said, the longer I sat with this whole thing, like that day that I finished it, it just like, it made me madder and madder and madder for some reason.
Aw.
And it's just
this is a DLC, right? So it doesn't fall under the every Xeno game is good umbrella.
I
right?
think that's like this is just an epilogue thing that they did. It's not, the main attraction. You come to Xenoblade Definitive Edition because you want to play fucking Xenoblade Chronicles because that game's really good. So
Torna counts though. Torna's definitely good.
Torna is a
every Xeno game is good.
Torna is a $40, $30 standalone video game. So
hey, every Xeno game is good.
So there you go. But yeah,
thank you for sharing a journey there. I feel better about how I can't play this.
Yeah, it's
because I don't want to buy a remake of Xenoblade Chronicles when I haven't played 2 and play it again.
Yeah, if you want to really know what's going on in Future Connected, if you want like a more in-depth version than I gave you, just go read a fucking wiki. Like, I don't think that this is honestly all that worth playing through. I like the Nopon quest. I like the characters, but like, we're probably never going to see those characters again. And like, none of this is really going to matter going forward, I don't think. Like, people think that like I said, people went into this wanting it to be some big connection to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And it's like, you went into it for that reason and you want to be mad about it. Like, you're dumb. Hate it for what it is just like a kind of a
not doing Melia justice.
Yeah, exactly. Like she deserved she deserved a much better. Like I said, I'm glad they get her where she needs to be, but I think that she could have got there on a much stronger story on the back of this antagonist that they introduced. And so, like, I just gotta wonder, did they like pussy out and not want to go with the racial tension angle or something, or is this like, no, you gotta let the boy with the sword be the hero? Like, you can't do that. Like, girls can't be heroes. What are you doing? Can't let you
closing out with Rogue Legacy 2 and Xenoblade Future Connected. Bangers here.
Look, you can't look. I'm not letting Future Connected in any way color how much I loved Xenoblade Chronicles and how excited I am to get to XC2. And I've already got XC3 pre-ordered, okay? So, look, I'm here. I'm bought in now. I'm ready. Let's fucking go. I'm here. Like, I'm ready. Like, I don't know. Like, I keep looking at that XC2 on my shelf, and I'm like, is it now? Do we do it now? Do we just do it? Can we do it? What if we do it one chapter at a time and just, like, pace ourselves?
Oh, lordy.
That's how you end up playing Xenoblade 1 over 6 years?
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then play Xenoblade 2 in, like, a month immediately after.
Yeah. Like, I think I need another month or two away from it before I decide. Like, I think I probably want to, like, because I got stuff coming out that I do want to play here really soon. Like, Corpse Factory's coming out in a couple weeks.
The schedule must be cleared for the Eye the Somnium
Files. Like, nothing's getting in the way for Eye the Somnium Files Nirvana Initiative. Like, that's day one. I'm gonna be there. Like, leave me alone. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't nothing. You ain't getting a hold of me that day. So yeah,
I have 2 Xeno games I desperately want to play with 2 in the name.
Nice. Yeah, XC2 and Xenosaga 2. Yeah.
What am I supposed to do here? If I pick one, it means I'm not playing the other.
That does, yeah.
So you'll pick a third. You'll forge
I will pick
your
a third option. I will forge my own path with the power of the Monado. I'll create my own future. And play fantasy for DOS.
I did see, I do know, I did watch After 5 one time, try to play both XC1 and 2 at the same time with the same inputs. That was...
What?
That was
very funny.
That was a very interesting 2-hour stream that left the boy with a migraine headache. God, I wonder if he fucking
That's a lot of stimulation.
It was really fucking interesting watching them try to handle that shit. That's the good stuff. But yeah. So it happened. We did it. We got Xenoblade Chronicles is Sockscast approved. We at least got that out of it. Excited
Nice.
for more. But I think that is going to do it. I think that's a podcast. We did it, everybody. We survived once again. And we will catch you again 3 weeks from now, maybe, depending on what John has to say about it, apparently.
There's a definite subset of people who want Xenoblade to be Xenosaga. I think it makes sense to want Xenoblade to be Xenosaga. I think it makes sense to miss the turn-based fighting a little bit.
Here's the thing.
All the chaos.
Tone-wise, I think that's another thing that I had an issue with Xenoblade for a while, is that this isn't Xenogears and this isn't Xenosaga. This is an entirely different mood. This is an entirely different tone. And again, that's like that clashing against like what I want versus what this thing is and needing to accept it on its own terms. And I think that's another thing that I had to get over to finally open my heart to Xenoblade Chronicles. So had to get over that. Had to get over the fact that like it's not, it's not as like dark and kind of brooding there the whole time. So.
And then I have my other friend that that loves Xenogears, loves exploring cool little pretty RPG towns, and they got to Xenosaga, and it's like, it's all gray corridors. I hate this, and threw it away. Everyone, we all.
So
it's
it
hard.
goes. So it goes.
So it goes.
John Thayer, tell the folks at home where they can find you.
Farawaytimes.itch.io.
Rhett Thayer, tell the folks at home where they can find you.
Your middleest brother.
I feel so sorry for you.
Dark.
Okay, I've got a new one.
Okay.
I said last time I wasn't going to change the Watch Review Starlight one, but I think I found one that is acceptable.
All right.
Watch anime because anime is good.
Okay.
It's true.
You know what?
I
That's
watched
fine.
70 episodes of anime.
I
watched
might
78
be watching
episodes of anime.
Might be watching some anime here soon, so maybe we'll talk about it next time. And you can find me at twitch.tv/Polyhead. That's where I do all my stuff. I do all my stuff there. All right. So, until next time, I want you all to remember out there, keep it close and near and dear to your heart. Remember, we are the podcast that loves you. We are the only ones that love you. And that's the show, everybody. Thanks again, everybody, for coming out. You're a bunch of lovely, beautiful, gorgeous people. I am going to send you over to my friend Shika Snooze. He is playing Zero Time Dilemma, which is a very fun, good game that everybody loves. Nobody has any problems with.
It's true.
There's not a single person that has ever complained about that video game. But we'll catch you next time, everybody. Much love.